Hello everyone, welcome to What If Deku Died and Went Back in Time movie. Before we start, please go support HectorJrHernandez for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some mistaken character's gender, but of course Deku is a male. I wish I could hear your voice again, Ochako. That was Midoriya Izuku's wish before he died, but what he didn't know was that his wish would come true, but not as he expected. Explanations. 1. The story will develop after the third season. 2. Deku will have another quirk after his wish comes true, it will be the Black Whips. 3. The OFA will have it Mirio. 4. The ship will be Izuacha. Chapter 1. Desire. In the city of Kamino in Japan, it was chaos that was repeated, or it was worse than the time when the Almight vs All for One match took place. There were lifeless bodies of villains as heroes remained standing fighting the civilians in the place ran scared. The people who watched everything from their homes were afraid and horrified because the famous League of Villains had organized one of the largest invasions in history, which the heroes had to ask for help from the hero academies of the country. The pitched war had started 2 hours ago, in which Class 2 of UA had entered to fight. In that time some had died, which were Aoyama, Mineta, Kota, Kaminari, Mina, Tokyomi, Sato, Shoji, Toru, Ajiro, Shiro, Momo and Uraraka. Only that there were 7 students fighting. You could see how the heroes had the advantage after a while, until the decisive fight came where Shigaraki Tamura, the current leader, faced Midoriya Izuku, better known as the hero Deku. Deku? Shigaraki, I'll make you pay for everything you've done, he said angrily as he took a fighting stance. Tamura. Hahaha Midoriya, you won't be able to stop me, I've already taken everything from you, he said with a confident smile. Deku? Shut up, he said while clenching his fists. Tamura. You don't know how much I enjoyed killing Almight, he said, making Deku tremble with anger. Or torturing your mother to death. Deku just lowered his head upon hearing that. Also seeing how Inomu killed your girlfriend in front of your eyes. What was this called, he thought. Yeah, Uraraka Ochako. You really don't know how much I enjoyed seeing the death of those 3. Hahaha, it was simply splendid, he said with a mocking smile. Deku? I told you to shut up. He said, activating the OFA at 50% and launching himself to attack him. Tamura. Right now I'll kill you Midoriya. He said, doing the same. So both of them got into a fist fight. Shigaraki made use of one of the quirks that Afo gave him before he died, which was an increase in strength. You could see how both of them exchanged blows. The few heroes and villains who were fighting stopped doing so to pay attention to the fight that could decide which side the victory leaned towards. Tamura, seeing that he was losing the advantage, decided to use one of the quirks that consisted of turning his skin into metal to resist Midoriya's blows. Deku did not care, he was angry, he wanted to finish Tamura, he wanted to make him suffer for everything he did by killing his friends, his mentor, his sweet mother, and the person who loved Uraraka. At that moment, the OFA increased more, the power of both caused a crater from low air pressure, pushing the villains and heroes. Tamura. What's wrong Midoriya, he said, hitting him in the face, making him crash into a building. That's all you have, kicking him, causing him to deactivate the OFA. You're really pathetic, hahaha, just look at you, you're nothing but useless, he mocked the more hits he gave him. Deku? I will not give up. He shouted, releasing all his power. 1 for all, full cal 100%, he said, while his rays increased. I am not useless, he said, remembering when Uraraka gave him his new meaning. Flashback. Deku? He calls me like that because Deku means useless, he said nervously while lowering his head. Uraraka. Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know that, she said sadly, but you know, gaining Deku's attention. Deku to me sounds like a Japanese word that says you can do it, I like it, she said with a big smile. Then flashback. Deku? Because I know I can do it, he said, hitting Tamura in the face. As he advanced, Tamura could no longer keep his body transformed into metal by the powerful blows. The companions who were still alive looked at Midoriya with astonishment and determination. Bakugo maintained a smile of satisfaction, as did Todoroki, seeing his companion fight with all his power. Without further ado, the others began to fight with more enthusiasm, copying Midoriya and overcoming their limits, and fighting to avenge their fallen companions. Tamura didn't know what to do, all he did was take Midoriya's blows. He couldn't think, he looked around, his subordinates were falling, he was losing, so in a fit of rage, he dodged a blow from Midoriya and hit him in the ribs, then used the air cannon to crash him into a bus. Tamura. Damn brat, you'll pay for this, angrily looking everywhere until he saw a child hiding behind the rubble of a building, making Tamura smile. Tell me, hero, you can save everyone. Deku? I will save them all, he said, standing up with difficulty. With a smile, he said, looking at Tamura with tiredness after using the OFA at 100%. Tamura. Really, he said with a sideways smile. Then why don't you save that child, he said, pointing at the scared child. Deku. No, wait, don't do it, damn it, he said, running towards the boy. Tamura, dodge a bone spear, he said, throwing a spear towards the boy who could only close his eyes. In the place only a cry of pain could be heard while drops of blood fell to the ground. The heroes looked at that in horror. The villain celebrated because the one who received the attack was Midoriya in the abdomen. Deku's companions looked at that in astonishment. Deku? Hey kid, you're fine, he said with his back turned so the kid wouldn't see him. Child. Why yes, I'm fine, thank you, he spoke sobbing. Deku? Calm he said turning his head, don't worry, I'm here. He showed a big smile that calmed the boy. Deku, seeing that the boy was distracted, he took the spear out of his abdomen and turned to look at him. Why don't you go and be sure, he said ruffling his hair. Child. Yes, thank you very much, he said while running. Tamura, haha, now I have the advantage, he said, opening his arms. Deku? That's what you think, he said while getting into a fighting stance. We have to end this once and for all, Tamura, he said while loading the OFA. This will be dangerous, but there's no other way, one for all, 1,000,000%, he thought. Tamura. Fine, you asked for it, damn it, I'll finish you off. Here will be your miserable grave. He said, adding his quirk, just like AFO when they fight against Almight. Both ran against each other, the others saw how they slowly approached, the companions and heroes shouted words of support for Deku, who finished off all the villains. Deku's companions looked at him with admiration and respect. Bakugo was the one who shouted the most, supporting his childhood friend, until they saw how they got closer and closer. Tamura, ie. He shouted throwing his punch. Deku? I will finish you. Both clashed their fists, neither gave in. Midoriya was bleeding more and more, while his wound opened. I can't take it anymore, he said, giving in to the pressure Tamura exerted. All Might, but what are you saying? Said Deku in his mind in his hero form. Deku? All Might, he said in amazement. All Might? Of course you can do it, just remember why you clenched that fist, he said while Deku stopped the advance. Remember where you come from. Tamura? I'll finish you off, Midoriya, he said while preparing the other arm. Deku? You won't do it, he said while crouching down. All Might. Trust in one for all, he said turning his back on him. Deku? I'll finish you off once and for all, he said as he stood in front of Tamura. All Might. It's your turn, hero Deku, so see more high young Midoriya, he shouted stretching his arm. Deku, it's final. He said while charging the blow. Tamura. I won't allow it. He said while attacking uselessly. All Might plus Ultra. He finished while a small colored light came out of his hand. Deku, I'll do it, All Might. He thought as he took the light and saw Tamura determinedly dodging Tamura's attack. Goodbye Tamura, he said as his fist smoked. United, he shouted as he remembered the faces, smiles, games and moments with his teammates and only friends. States of, he shouted while remembering the encouragement his mother gave him and the smile that always calmed him down. Almight, who made his dream come true, his role model and his father figure. Smiles, he shouted remembering the smiles that Ochako gave him when she finished thinking. The blow hits Tamura squarely, slamming him against the ground, causing a large tornado in the place. The place was silent, watching everything as the smoke cleared the place to see how Deku had his fist in the sky. Everyone celebrated finally finishing off the villains, but not everything lasts forever, because they saw how Deku fell on his back to the ground. Deku, I guess it's E. But near the place the child that Midoriya saved heard everything and felt guilty that the person who saved him had died. Child. I think it's the least I can do, he said closing his eyes. I will fulfill your wish, he said, while shining thank you for being my hero, he said while crying, so that later a great white light could be seen. Chapter 2. What's happening here? Deku found himself waking up in a dark place lying on the floor. He got up and looked around trying to find out where he was. Deku? Then I died, he said without believing it and then showed a nostalgic smile. I think I can be with you, but then he saw a light that illuminated everything so he could later see the child he saved. What are you doing here, child? He asked as he approached him. Child. Oh, how do I say it? He said nervously. I will fulfill your wish, showing a nervous smile. What, he said, surprised Deku. Deku? What? He shouted upon hearing the child. How is that possible unless he didn't finish because the child spoke. Child. It's my quirk, he said with emotion. It's called wish. I can grant any wish of a person if they ask for it with all their heart, he informed surprising Deku. Deku? Wow, your quirk is great, anyone would want to have it, he said smiling. Wait, then you heard me, said seeing that the boy accentuated. Then you will fulfill my wish, but why? Child. Easy, you were the one who saved me, so I want to compensate you by not only hearing the voice of that Ochako, but also by being able to see her and be with her, showing a smile, and also because you are my hero with an embarrassed smile. Deku? He couldn't stand it anymore and ran to pick up and hug the child. Thank you very much, my friend, spinning while the child laughed. Child. Haha, if you can put me down so I can fulfill your wish, he asked kindly, being put down by Deku. Well, you're ready, just think about what time you want to wake up, okay? Deku? Yes. He said enthusiastically. But wait a second, he said, missing the boy. Can I know your name first? He asked, making the boy smile. Akihiro. My name is Hiroshi Akihiro, he said with a smile. Deku? Then thank you very much, Hiroshi, with a smile as a light surrounded him and he disappeared. At that, Deku opened his eyes and looked around him. He could see that he was in his dorm room. He quickly took his phone and saw the date and time, which were Saturday, October 1st, 2019, 3:40 am, which made Deku happy to see that he had returned to the past. Deku? Yes, I'm back, thank you very much, Hiroshi, thank you very much, shedding a few small tears. Well, let's wait for dawn, I think I'll sleep a little. Hours passed as the sun rose, the rays bothered Deku, causing him to wake up, who let out a big yawn and rubbed his eyes to show a big smile, then got up and went to take a shower, and then put on comfortable clothes since it was Saturday. So with that attitude he left his room on his way to the elevator, but before arriving he was called by someone at the end of the hall. Hey Midoriya, let's have breakfast together, shouted a male voice who, when turning around, could see Kirishima running towards him. Deku? Ah, hello Kirishima, good morning. He showed a smile, making Kirishima stop in his tracks, confusing Deku. This Kirishima, what's wrong with you? Seeing his face that was surprised at that, he ran and took him by the shoulders, while moving him all over the place. Kirishima? Am I Midoriya? He shouted, are you feeling fine? He said, stopping him while checking him. You're not sick, he said, placing his hand on his forehead. Deku? Yes, Kirishima, why do you ask? Confused, seeing Kirishima, who moved away a little. Kirishima? It's because you didn't see, call me shitty hair, he said, surprised and worried. Deku? Why would I call you that? He said without understanding. Kirishima? No, you always do it, he said, looking at him with doubt. Deku? Well, if it's better, let's go have breakfast, he said, pointing to the elevator. Kirishima? This why yes, he said, walking behind the green-haired man. How strange, he acts different, as if he were someone else, he thought, seeing him smile. In the elevator they were silent. Kirishima just looked at Deku with doubt, who was still smiling. When the elevator doors opened he saw that everyone was in the dining room, so he went out with Kirishima to say hello. Deku? Good morning everyone, he said with a smile. Class A. Nobody said anything, everyone had their mouths open looking at Deku. Kirishima? This Midoriya, why don't you go and prepare breakfast, I'll get it for you, while pushing him lightly while Deku entered. But what the hell was that? Asked a girl with pink skin and hair looking at Kirishima. Kirishima? No lose, he said, shrugging his shoulders. He's never been like that, said an ash blonde man timidly. Calm down Bakugo, he won't do anything to you, said a brown-haired girl, while placing her hand on his shoulder. Thank you Uraraka, he said with a smile, before you kill me there is no Ochako, remember I hate him. I never thought I'd see Midoriya act kind, said a tall boy with his mouth covered. Ready Midoriya, nice, now I can die Empa, said a boy with purple balls on his head, crossing something out on a piece of paper. Maybe he's sick, said a serious bicolor. Kirishima? I don't think so, I already noticed the Todoroki, he said, sitting at the table. Uraraka? Most likely he's plotting something, she commented with a frown. Mina? Maybe he doesn't lose sight of it and wants to change, she said thoughtfully. This is not right, talking behind someone's back is not worthy of you, said a boy moving his arms like a robot. Ida is right, that's not polite, guys, said a black-haired girl with a ponytail. Silence is coming, said a purple-haired girl, taking off her connector from the wall. At that moment, Deku came out with a smile while bringing a tray with chopped fruit, toast, orange juice and coffee with milk, and sat next to Mina. Deku? What are you talking about, guys? He asked, looking at everyone. Mina? Is this Midoriya? She spoke, capturing the attention of the named one. Are you okay? She asked worriedly. Deku? Yes, mine, why are you asking? He said, exalting everyone. Mina? Are you sure? She shouted, grabbing Midoriya by the shoulders. Deku? Sure Minaya, he said, agitated by the jolts. Why do you ask? Mina? Why didn't you call me Raccoon Eyes? She said, surprised. Deku? And why would I tell you that? He said excitedly. Mina? I don't know, tell me. She said, opening her arms. Ida? Now calm down, better, Edie spoke while shaking his arms. The day passed with Midoriya increasingly puzzled by what was happening every time he spoke to someone. He was surprised because Deku wasn't called by his nickname. He felt more and more confused until he found Bakugo sitting on the couch. Deku? Hello Kakin, he spoke animatedly as he approached him. Bakugo? Deku, I'm talking scared. What do you need? Deku? I just want to talk, he said with a smile. Bakugo? This is I, he stuttered out of nerves. Midoriya, a voice was heard that Deku was glad to hear. Deku? Urara, it doesn't end because this one didn't leave it. Uraraka? What do you think you're doing, huh? She said with a frown. I don't believe that you act so kind to everyone from one day to the next. I know you're up to something. You can't change from having a shitty attitude to one of being love and peace. She spoke angrily. Deku? What are you talking about? He asked confused. Uraraka. Don't play dumb, I know you're up to something she said, turning her back on him. Let's go, Bakugo, she said as Bakugo went behind Uraraka. Deku at that moment was very confused processing everything, so he walked until he got to his room and then sat on his bed. Deku? First the nickname Shitty Hair, that's what Kirishima said he called him, he said while placing his hand on his chin. Then everyone was impressed when I was kind to them. He remembered how they were surprised when he helped them. Then Kaken's attitude, he remembered how he got nervous, and then Ochako saying that he had a shitty attitude, he said, realizing and finishing processing everything and getting up suddenly. Oh shit, this is not my timeline, he spoke, and then saw his entire room and saw that he didn't have an Almight poster. He had a normal room on his nightstand. He had photos with Kirishima, Mina, Zero and Kaminari where he looked angry, but what's going on here, Dr. Garcia? He said grabbing his head in desperation and then lying down on his bed. Wait, who is Dr. Garcia, he said staring into space. Well, Izuku, calm down, this is a second chance, I have to change everything and prevent the same thing from happening here, as in my timeline, he said, and then looks for a notebook. Well, let's start. Chapter 3. Recapitulation of facts. Deku? Okay Izuku, calm down, he said while breathing. Well, let's start, he said, cracking his knuckles to start writing. If I remember correctly, a week has passed since Mirio beat us, he said, and then stopped. Wait a minute, at least I have a hero license, he said, throwing the notebook and started searching. A few minutes passed and Deku couldn't find his hero license. He had already looked under the mattress, in the drawers of the refrigerator. After eating, of course, you can't look for something without an empty stomach. Then, in the bathroom, among his books, he gave up and threw himself onto his bed. Deku? No, it can't be, he said, grabbing his pillow and shouting, how can I save Eri if I don't have my license? He let out a sigh to look at the ceiling. Wow, then I'm like Bakugo, he said laughing ironically. Wait a minute, he said, checking his pants and grabbing his wallet. Well, this is the last place, he said, opening his wallet and seeing his hero license. Yes, I have it, but as if I remember, Bakugo didn't have it because of his bad behavior, remembering how furious he was when he didn't pass the exam. Well, it doesn't matter. Deku, after finding his license, saw that it didn't have a name, just his photo, which didn't matter to him since later he would put one on it and arrange everything, but to his surprise when he wanted to reach his quad, a black thing came out of his arm scaring Deku. Deku? But what the hell was that? He said looking at his arm. Will it be my quirk in this timeline, he said, and then stretched out his arm. Now get out, he said, but nothing happened. Damn it, let's get out, he said stretching out his hand. It can't be, let's calm down, he said, sighing. Okay now, he said, and then saw that the whip went straight to a water tank and brought it towards him. Oh, now I understand. Calm hard and think about what I want to achieve, he said looking at his hand. How the hell did the other one do it if she was a hysterical crazy, he said looking out his window. I think we'll never know, I'll still have the one for all. He got up from the bed. Let's see. One for all, full cal 5%, he said, and then the green rays appeared around him. Yes, I still have it. After seeing that he still had the OFA and studying his new quirk a little, he went and took his notebook to start writing down all the events that would happen in the future and how to solve them. Deku? Well, first there's a week and a half left for Eri's rescue, he said, writing it down there. I have to prevent Night Eye from dying and Mirio from losing his quirk, and now that I think about it, who will have the OFA in this timeline? He thought, well, I'll see about that. Then there was Gentle and La Brava's attempted attack. I think there's no problem with that, writing it down in his notebook. Oh no, yeah. Let's prevent the teachers from noticing. He wrote it in capital letters. Then if I remember correctly, the confrontation between Endeavor and Hawk against Nomu High Gamma happened, he said, writing it down. Haha, I still remember Todoroki's happiness when he found out that Endeavor was injured in the eye. 0. And that Deku remembered all the moments he lived with his classmates, the laughter, jokes. He also remembered the moment when he and Ochako became boyfriend and girlfriend during the cultural festival. He remembers the smiles and the dates, but everything changed in his second year, where they almost didn't go out because of their studies and missions, where they spent most of their time together in hospitals, since one of them was injured during a mission, but even so, they were happy. Deku? You are not going to let anyone die, much less you, Ochako, he said, and then looked at his notebook again. Then the fight against Class B happened, which we won, he said, writing in his notebook note. Here Deku's power-up of 7 or 6 never happened. Those who read the manga will understand. I think that's all. After that it happened peacefully. We didn't have fights against the league, he said, and then closed his notebook. What time is it? He said and then looked at his clock that said 12:45 at night. I think I'll sleep, he said, placing his notebook on his desk and turning off the light to sleep. The next day. Deku was waking up after feeling the sun's rays hit his face and then waking up annoyed and seeing the time, which read 10:30 a.m. He got up, grabbed some clothes and then took a bath. He arranged his things before going out but stopped before opening the door. Deku? Okay Izuku Midoriya, you must relax, he said, and then sighed, you must clean up your image that everyone has of you, so that everyone looks at you with good eyes, and not with fear, he said, starting to jump a little. Come on champion, you can do it, he said, slapping himself a little. You have to make Ochako remove the image of that scary Izuku she has in mind, and teach her the good Izuku of now, he said, and then showed a confident smile. I can do it, he said, opening the door and walking out to the elevator. On the way Deku showed a big smile, but before taking the elevator he was called again by Kirishima, who was walking towards the Kirishima. Hey Midoriya, let's have breakfast together, he said with a friendly smile. Deku? Of course, Kirishima, he said with a smile and then pressed the elevator button. Kirishima. Midoriya, he called, catching his attention. I have a question to ask you, he said, looking at Izuku. Do you want to be my boyfriend? He asked, blushing. You believed it, we're coming, really? Kirishima. Midoriya, he called, catching his attention. I have a question to ask you, he said, looking at Izuku. Why are you acting differently than usual? He asked, looking at the green-haired boy. Deku? Ooh, that's all I want to change. I realized that the attitude I had wouldn't go very far, so I'll try to get along better with everyone. Showing a sincere smile. I hope he believes it. I can't tell him I'm from another timeline. He thought, looking at the Redeed, who had a look of astonishment. Kirishima. Wow Midoriya, that was so manly, he said while clenching his fist as tears came out of his eyes. Well friend, I'm glad you want to change, you have my full support, he said with a smile. Midoriya. Thanks friend, he showed a smile. The elevator has arrived, let's have breakfast, he said, receiving a yes from Kirishima. Well, it's time to start over, he thought while smiling and entering the elevator with Kirishima. Chapter 4. Starting over. After the conversation, both boys entered the elevator where they talked about trivial things, to Kirishima's surprise. When they came out, only a few of their classmates were there. They greeted each other and went into the kitchen to prepare their breakfast, then went out and sat with the others. Mina. You look different Midoriya, she said seeing him at her side. Deku. Really, he said while eating. Mina. Yes. You don't shout anymore, you're not angry anymore, you don't call anyone by ugly nicknames anymore, she said excitedly, it's like you're another person. Deku. You wouldn't even imagine it, he thought with a smile. If I wanted to change, I realized that with my attitude, I wouldn't get very far, he said, surprising everyone except Kirishima. Denki. I never thought I'd hear that from you Midoriya while pointing at him with a fork. Zero. Wow, you really are someone else, he said, passing his hand behind his neck. Kirishima. Hey, how about watching movies after we're done? He asked excitedly. Deku. I think it's a good idea, Kirishima. I'll bring the popcorn. He said happily. Mina. Yes, I'll bring the soft drink, she said excitedly. Denki. I'll bring the sweets and chips, he said raising his hand. Zero. Then I'll bring pizza while pointing to himself. Kirishima. Let's make this day an incredible one, he said raising his fist. 4. Yes. Doing the same as Kirishima. After that they started talking about trivial things where there was laughter and jokes, but on the other side of the table, there were 4 people who looked at the other group attentively. Bakugo. It's been a long time since I saw Deku so happy, he said watching Deku laugh next to Mina. Ida. It's strange not seeing him scream, he said while moving his arms like a robot. Uraraka. I still don't trust him, she said with a frown while eating. Sai. Hey Bakugo, why do you say it's been a long time since you last saw him happy? She asked, looking at the person next to her. Bakugo. Oh it's because when we were friends as children that was the last time I saw him happy and not angry, he said nervously and blushing. Wow, Tsuyu is very pretty, he thought seeing her smile. I told you that she would change a little, and there it is, never get ahead of yourself. Ida. I think it's better if we stop talking about Midoriya and Edie said and then started eating. Hours later. Midoriya had finished watching movies with Kirishima, Mina and the others and was walking through the residence when he met Uraraka and the others. Bakugo. Oh hello Deku, he said nervously when he saw him enter. Deku. Hello Kakin-ko. It doesn't end because someone spoke. Uraraka. Midoriya, why don't you stop acting? She said a little angrily. Deku. I'm not acting Uraraka, I just want to start over with you guys, he said showing a smile. Uraraka. Don't count on me, I don't trust you, she said, passing by him. Momo. That was very unexpected, she said seeing Uraraka's attitude. Deku. Then I can spend time with you, he said, lowering his head. Bakugo. Of course Deku, let's go, he said touching his shoulder and giving him a smile. Thus, they spent time with them. Deku was able to leave a good impression with them and get to know them better than in his timeline, like Momo, Shoji, Jiro, etc., sharing some similar tastes. Momo. Wow Midoriya, I didn't know we had the same tastes in books, she said smiling while reading with Deku. Deku. I'm glad we have something in common too, Yaoi Rozu, he said happily. Hiroshima. Hey guys, whose turn is it to cook today? He said while looking at his cell phone. Mina. It's Ochako's turn, she said, pointing to the aforementioned who was coming down the stairs. Uraraka. Ah, that's right, I'll be back now, I'll make you eat, she said as she walked towards the kitchen. Bakugo. It wasn't her turn, right? He said, looking at Mina, who was smiling. Mina. It wasn't my turn, but I didn't want to cook, she said, showing a smile. Momo. Mina, she said angrily, that's not good, now go and help Ochako cook, she said while pointing at the kitchen. Mina. Ah, I don't want to, pouting. Deku. I'll go, he said, getting up from the couch, surprising everyone. Iida. You really will, Midoriya, he said, adjusting his glasses. Deku. If I don't see any problem, and so I will try to get along better with Uraraka, he said, showing a smile. Shoji. You really want to change, huh, Midoriya, he said, seriously looking at his partner. Deku. Yes, I'll go back now, he said, heading to the kitchen. In the kitchen, Uraraka could be seen walking around cutting vegetables, stirring broth, and cutting meat, which made Deku smile, because it was as if he was seeing his Ochako from his original universe. Deku. You need help, he said, making Uraraka tense up and look at him. Uraraka. I don't need your help, Midoriya, she said, frowning. Deku. Sure, he said, looking at her with a raised eyebrow. Uraraka. I'm very sure, she said with her arms crossed, so you can go, she said, pointing to the door. Deku. Seriously, your meat is burning, you know, he said, pointing at the meat. What Midoriya said alerted Uraraka, who ran to the stove and turned it off and took the casserole and put it in the sink to put out the smoke. Deku. So you want me to help you? He asked, seeing how the brunette looked at him. Uraraka. Well, I need your help, she said in defeat, making Midoriya smile, but it will be the only time, understood? Deku. He don't worry, just this once, he smiled as he took an apron and put it on. How can I help you? Uraraka. You know, Midoriya, she said, looking at him, it's funny to see you with a pink apron, she said, trying not to laugh. Deku. Jaha, very funny, no, he said, seeing her laugh. Uraraka. The truth is yes, she said, stopping laughing. Deku. Well, let's start cooking, do you want to, he said, and then started cutting. Uraraka. Haha, that's fine, she said, to start heating the water. So the minutes passed, they didn't say a word. Deku liked that silence, especially being with Uraraka, his Uraraka, even though she doesn't know it, that caused her to shed tears that she quickly wiped away. Uraraka. Ready, we're done, she said, looking at the pot. Deku. Well, I think I'm going, he said, taking off his mandili and about to leave. Uraraka. Midoriya said before he left. Deku. What happened, Uraraka? He said, seeing that she was nervous. Uraraka. I never thought I'd say this, but she paused and then looked at him. Thank you, she showed a smile that made Deku blush. Deku. Don't worry, he said, turning his gaze. See you, he said, and then left. Upon leaving, he earned several confused looks from his classmates, since Midoriya had left the residence with his hands on his cheeks. Mina. What's wrong with Midoriya? She said as she saw him almost running. Denki. I don't know, but I want to eat now, he said as he walked to the table with the others. Meanwhile with Deku, he was sitting on the stairs of the residence hugging his legs while watching the sunset. Deku. I almost ran and hugged her and said that I love her, he said, squinting at her, but it won't be long before I'm truly with you, Ochako, he said, showing a smile, and we'll have the life we always wanted, we'll be together forever, he said as he saw how the sun set and showed the full moon along with the stars. Chapter 5 Notori Change. It was Monday morning and a young green-haired man could be seen in the courtyard in front of the dormitories, doing an exercise routine before starting classes. Once he finished his routine, he decided to go to his room to take a shower and then go down to breakfast where he met two people who were Yaoi Rozu and Iida. Deku. Good morning guys, he smiled looking at the two. Both. Good morning Midoriya, they greeted as they watched him enter the kitchen. After a few minutes, Deku came out of the kitchen with his breakfast on a tray, then sat down with Momo and Iida. Deku. I hope you don't mind me eating with you, sitting down looking at his two companions. Momo. Not at all, Midoriya smiled while eating. Iida. I hope you're ready for today, he said, confusing Deku. Deku. Ready for what or what? He asked looking at Iida. Momo. True, you weren't there when Aizawa came, looking at Deku. Well, Aizawa told us that we will have a quirk test during hero practice time, where we will fight robots one by one to see how much we have advanced, she said seriously. Deku. Thanks for letting me know, I smile and then start eating. Momo. You don't have to thank me, after all it's my duty as vice president, with a smile. Deku. You're right, he smiled. Some time passed and the others began to go down to eat. After that everyone went to the classroom to wait for Aizawa to arrive, but we focused on a girl who had a frown while she secretly watched Deku. Uraraka. I know he's hiding something or has something up his sleeve, she thought, watching him talk to Kirishima. It's weird that he wants to act like a good person from one day to the next. Watching him smile, I'll find out what you're hiding, Midoriya while clenching his fists. Ida. Uraraka, are you okay? He asked as he approached her. Uraraka. Why do you ask? She said looking at him. Bakugo. Well, you're frowning, he said pointing at Uraraka's forehead, and we've been trying to talk to you for a while now, are you okay? He asked looking at Uraraka. Uraraka. Yes, I'm fine, don't worry she smiled nervously. I'll know the truth, Midoriya, I'll find out, I swear, she thought while looking at Midoriya. Kirishima. Tell me, Midoriya while sitting on the desk, are you ready? He asked. Deku? Yes. While clenching his fist, I will show what I am made of. Mina. Great, while raising her arms, and tell me, Midoriya, she said while changing her smile to a mischievous one, will you finally tell me who you like? She asked Deku blushing slightly. Deku. No, Mina, while he looked away, it's a secret blushing in surprise at Kirishima and Mina. Mina. So you like someone? I asked surprised. Kirishima. I never thought I'd hear this, amazed. And who is it? He asked. Deku. I won't tell you, it's a secret, covering his face with his arms. Mina. Then I'll guess, she said, and then thought, I already know who it is, catching Kirishima and Deku's attention. It's Hatsune, pointing with both index fingers at Deku. Both. What? They said at the same time, amazed. Mina. Yes, it's her, excited. You always let her touch you, moving her hands in the air, and you never complained, with a mischievous look. Deku. Of course not, he quickly denied. That doesn't mean I like him. Upset, and then looked at Kirishima. Right? He asked looking at the redeed. Kirishima. Midoriya is right, Mina looking at the pink one. That doesn't mean anything. Mina. Moo pouting. I'll find out later, Midoriya as she walked away slowly without stopping to look at him. I'll keep an eye on you, pointing her eyes with her two fingers and pointing at Midoriya. Careful, Wazowski, as she went to her place. Kirishima. Wow, so much suspense, he said while admiring the scene. Well, I'm going to my seat. Deku. Yes, he said, seeing the redeed leave me and Hatsune, he thought, and then trembled. Mina, you're crazy, I would never be with Hatsune. It's stupid of me to get together with her, he thought while smiling. I only want and will love Uraraka. Ochako, he thought, blushing. After that, the classes began, such as math with ectoplasm, English with present mic, history with cements, modern art with mind night, and finally the hero class, taught by the former #1 hero and symbol of peace, Almight and Izawa. Almight. I hope and be ready, entering his civilian form along with Izawa. Everyone high excited. Izawa. As you know, we will do a test of how their quirks have improved after the provisional license tests tired. While he pressed a button and a screen appeared. I hope and remember how their entrance exam was, while 4 robots of different sizes and numbers appeared. What they will do is destroy them to get the points showing the numbers, but something was different. Whoever eliminates the largest will have 100 points, astonishing everyone, but not only that, showing a macabre smile. Whoever does not collect more than 100 points will have extra training, tensing everyone, so do your best plus ultra. Well, he raised his hair with his hand and still showing his smile. Almight. Good, and for this they will use their hero suits, so transforming go further boy plus ultra. While returning to his civilian form and leaving the room. Naruto said a lot of filler afterwards. They had already passed almost all of Class 1A, there were only 3 left. Since I'm too lazy to post the scores, I'll just tell you the ones who were worthless, meaning they failed: Aoyama, Kaminari, Kota, Hagakure. At this moment Bakugo finished his test with 130 points, below Todoroki who had 135. Izawa. Okay, Midoriya, it's your turn. From the booth where the entire Class A was. He's been acting weird, he doesn't yell or fight with the others anymore, he thought as he watched him enter the artificial city. You have 15 minutes already now. An alarm sounded and Deku started to run. Deku. Good, I practiced, he thought while crossing his arms in an X shape, and the whips came out now to attack. Aiming at a robot horde of 10 robots who were pierced. Good, that's 30 points. 13 minutes passed since the test began for Midoriya, where he had a total of 129 points at the moment. Deku is 1 point away from tying Kaken while wiping the sweat from his forehead, and 6 away from reaching Todoroki. In the cabin. Izawa. He's doing well, looking at the screen. Almight. Yes, with a smile. Now comes the real test, pressing a red button. Let's see how he does against a 100-pointer. Well, a smokescreen appeared on the field. Artificial city. Deku was running through the streets to meet the 100-point guy until he was in front of him. Deku. We meet again, he said while smiling. This time it will be different, forming an X with his arms and releasing the whips. He started running towards the robot while taking debris from robots or buildings and throwing them at the robot, which didn't even flinch and just punched the ground near where Deku was, who was thrown back, slowly standing up where he saw another fist go straight towards him, where he didn't react in time and was crushed by it. In the cabin. Everyone could not believe what they saw. A classmate and student had just been crushed by the largest robot. Deku's closest friends were in shock, Mina had tears in her eyes, and Aizawa along with All Might were surprised and sad to see a student die without doing anything. But everyone was surprised to see how the robot began to shake and was slowly lifted up. Artificial city. Deku? And no mo, I'll die now. Lifting the robot one for all. Full cal 20% he thought while green rays began to come out of him impressing everyone, but more All Might I won't die, I have to change everything making more effort full cal 50%, now pushing the robot forward to try to smash. He shouted while pushing himself against the robot and hitting the robot in the head, causing it to explode. Deku who was in the air, began to fall to the ground, but used his whip to hold on to a building and fall. In the cabin. Everyone was silent until Mina's excited screams and Kirishima's applause were heard. Then everyone started clapping. Aizawa. Test completed. Seeing the stopwatch at 0, Midoriya Izuku goes to the booth to know your score through the microphone. All Might. And no doubt that was the one for all, he thought, impressed. How is it that young Midoriya has it? Frowning. I'll have to talk to him. Seriously looking at how the door opened and showing an Izuku with his hero suit destroyed by the arms. The suit is from the 3rd season, I didn't want to change the suit. Kirishima. Midoriya, what was that? He said looking at the newcomer. Deku. Confused by all the looks. Bakugo. Is it true? Deku, what were those green rays? He asked as he approached him. It's a new technique of your quirk, he said as he took out a notebook from his suit. I feel weird doing this. Deku. Why yes, it is an evolution, he excused himself, surprising his companions. I discovered it the other day while I was training. Aizawa. Yes, then you can tell us about your Choco adventures. Grabbing their attention, Midoriya passed the test with a total of 200 points. He said tiredly. Now, who's next? I'm already sleepy. Bakugo. Congratulations Deku, he smiled at his friend. This Deku, we can talk after class, he said to show his notebook. It's to study your new phase of your quirk. Deku. Don't worry Kakin, he smiled, cheering up his friend, and we can spend the day together like before, he said, receiving a yes from Bakugo. Some of Deku's classmates approached to congratulate him, and so the minutes passed, with everyone participating, leaving only 5 who failed, the last of whom was Mineta. Before leaving the booth, Deku was stopped by the former symbol of peace, saying, I need to talk to you about something important after class, which made Deku nervous. At this moment the green-haired boy was walking through the halls of UA towards All Might's office. Once he arrived he knocked on the doors, receiving a pass where he saw how the former hero was serious. All Might. Feel free young Midoriya, I need to talk to you seriously, pointing at the seat in front of him. Chapter 6. Talk with All Might. All Might. Sit down young Midoriya, I need to talk to you seriously, pointing at the chair in front. Deku. It's okay, All Might nervous as he walked to the chair and then swallowed saliva. What do you want to talk about? Watching as the former number 1 hero put his hands together to support his chin. All Might. Look, young man, seriously with a frown making Deku tense, I don't believe that your quirk has evolved, intensifying his gaze. Deku. What do you might mean? Nervous and sweating a little. All Might. The power that you showed a while ago, I know it, he said, and then leaned on the sofa. That power, where did you get it from? Looking at Deku who was quite nervous. Deku, damn, what do I do now? Thinking nervously, what do I do? I think it's better to tell him the truth and wait for his answer, he thought, and then he ran away and looked at everyone. Might, well, what I'm going to tell him will be hard to believe. All Might. Tell me and I'll tell you if I believe you or not, he said looking at Deku. Deku. Well, I'm not the Midoriya Izuku of this timeline, he said, surprising All Might a little. I belong to another one where I was a Sinkasei. For 14 years I received mockery and blows from some classmates, but mainly from Kakin, he said a little sadly. Then I met you and I asked you if a person without a Sinkasei could be a hero, but you said no, and I stopped dreaming. The last thing said made All Might feel bad. All Might. I'm sorry young Midoriya, bowing his head. Deku. Don't worry, All Might, showing a smile after that he apologized and offered me the one for all, and I accepted it as you could see. All Might. I believe you young Midoriya, he said, surprising the latter, but tell me, how did you end up here? What happened in your timeline? He asked a little worried. Deku. In my timeline I was more advanced than this one, he said while looking at the ground. In my timeline, you died at the hands of Shigaraki Tamura, he said, surprising All Might. My mother was killed by Dabian twice, but that was not all, he said, tensing All Might. The thing was that one day the league organized a mega invasion in Japan, where several pro-heroes as 2nd and 3rd grade students from the hero schools joined together and fought against the villains. It was a quite difficult battle, but I managed to defeat Shigaraki, who had the all for one, he said, making All Might feel happy, but at a high cost, he said, worrying. All Might, some heroes died along with some of my teammates, clenching his fists, remembering how his teammates died, and I also died in my timeline. All Might. How is it possible, he said without believing it and at the same time angry. How did you die? He asked worriedly. Deku. During my fight against Shigaraki, I was pierced by a spear from Shigaraki while protecting a child, he said in amazement to All Might, and also for using my power beyond the limit. All Might. I'm so sorry young man, he said sadly, and how did you end up here, he said interested in his other new pupil. Deku. It was thanks to the boy I saved, with a smile, confusing All Might a little. He fulfilled my last wish. All Might. Your last wish? He asked confused. Deku. If his quirk is wish, he can fulfill anything if it is asked with all the strength of your heart. All Might. What an incredible quirk, he said excitedly, and tell me, what was your wish? He asked very curiously. Deku. The wish I made was that I wanted to hear the voice of. He stopped dead in his tracks, blushing at what he was about to say. All Might. The voice of young Midoriya with a mischievous voice and look. Come on young man, tell me, can you trust me, he said with a smile. Deku. Boo, well it's a little embarrassing, but it was Uraraka Ochako's, he said blushing, covering himself with his arms. All Might. The young Uraraka surprised well in your timeline, maybe they made a very nice couple and they got along very well, she said and then sighed, but here it's different, here she doesn't like you at all. Deku. You're right, but pausing, I'll change everything and try to win her over. All Might. Speaking of which, I want to know what happens in the future, he said curiously. Of course, if you don't mind. Deku. Not at all, he said settling into the chair. Well, what I know is that in a few days there will be a mission against the 8 death percepts and that they have a girl as a hostage, he said worrying All Might. In that unfortunate mission Night Eye dies and Mirio lost his gift, he said surprising All Might. All Might. And it can't be, he said surprised. Deku. After that was the cultural festival where there was almost an attack on UA by Gentle and Brava, but I stopped them in time. Then it was the attack of Nomu High Gamma. All Might. Nomu High Gamma, Dijon confused. Deku. Yes, he is an improved Nomu that has too many gifts, but he was defeated by Endeavor and Hawks, I think that's how it is written, and then there was a fight between Class A and Class B, where we won. He smiled. After that we did not know anything about the league until the invasion. All Might. We must be prepared then, he said seriously, and then let out a sigh. I will have to tell young Mirio everything you have told me, since he has the OFA, he said, receiving a nod from Deku. Okay young Midoriya, you can leave now, he said, getting up from the sofa. Deku. Thanks. All Might also getting up and walking to the door. All Might. Wait young man, he said making him stop. Good luck and try hard young man, raising his thumb and showing a smile. Deku. Take it for granted. All Might making the same gesture as All Might. I'll change everything, I promise, and then leaving All Might's office. On the way Deku had a smile and felt a little better about being able to tell someone about his secret, but he was stopped by a call from someone very well known to him. Deku, wait. He shouted while running after him. If you would show me your new phase of your quirk, he asked very excitedly. Deku. Of course Kaken, he said happily. Let's go. Starting to walk with Bakugo. Chapter 7. Spending time with Kaken. Deku. Well Kaken, before we start, he said getting the attention of the named, I want to apologize for all the things I did to you as a child, making a bow surprising Bakugo. Bakugo. And no need Deku, he said sadly, I forgave you a long time ago, he said with a smile. I'm glad you apologized Deku. Deku. Well, what do you want to know about my quirk? He asked, watching as Bakugo searched in his notebook. Bakugo. I have some questions, he said, and then stopped at a section. Here it is, and it is how does your new phase work? He asked looking at Deku curiously. Deku. Well, I would say it's like a kind of super strength, he said while Bakugo wrote it down, and it also allows me to improve my agility. Bakugo. Interesting, he said finishing writing another question. How did you find out? He asked looking at Deku. Deku. It was when I was training at the gym and out of nowhere I felt like an electric current running through my body, along with some red lines, he said surprising Bakugo, and then the green streaks you saw a few hours ago. Bakugo. Wow, that's very cool. Deku writing in his notebook. Deku. Anything else you want to know, Kaken? He said, making Bakugo see him. Bakugo. I don't think I have anything else, he said closing his notebook, but you don't mind if you show me your new power? Deku. I don't mind, he said with a smile, but we have to go eat, he said as he entered the dorms. Bakugo. You're right, walking behind Deku. When they entered the room they could see some of their classmates, some of whom were talking, others were watching television and others were eating. They greeted them and headed to the kitchen for some food and then went to the table while they talked. When they finished they left the dishes in the sink and went up to their rooms to change their clothes. The first to go down was Bakugo, who was carrying his notebook and a pen. He walked through the living room but was stopped by a voice. What are you doing, Bakugo, said the female voice. Bakugo. Oh, this, I'm just waiting for Deku Uraraka, he said with a smile. Uraraka. Ah, Deku, she said confused. Bakugo. Yes, he said he would show me his new phase, she said excitedly while showing her notebook. Hakan is right, he said, drawing both of their attention. Bakugo. Deku, we're leaving now, he said, looking at his partner. Deku? Yes, let's go, he said with a smile. Are you coming, Uraraka? He asked the girl. Uraraka. I don't want to be with you, Midoriya. Looking at him with a frown she said, see you later, Bakugo. She started walking away from both of them. Deku? He really hates me, he said watching her walk. Bakugo. He doesn't hate you, he said, so Deku would look at him. Well, yes, he hates you, but not that much, he just doesn't trust you, that's all. Deku? Well, let's go, he said starting to walk. Bakugo. Okay, let's go, with a smile behind Deku. Hey Deku, he said calling his partner. Deku? What's wrong? He said as he looked at him. Bakugo. This is how to say it without you getting upset, he said, and then thought. Deku? Don't worry, just say it and that's it, with a smile. I promise not to get angry. Bakugo. Fine, he said and then sighed. Do you like Uraraka? He asked, making Deku stop in his tracks. Deku? What? He said in amazement looking at Bakugo in front of him. Bakugo. Yes Deku, do you like Uraraka? He said and then showed a smile. Come on, tell me, I've known you since we were kids, he said happily. It's clear that you like Deku, sometimes I see you looking at her with a smile, you're paying attention to her, and you just blushed, he said pointing at her face, making her look away. Is that your reason for changing your attitude? He asked. Deku? You know me, right? He smiled and then walked next to Bakugo. I'll only tell you and don't tell anyone, okay? He said, looking seriously at Bakugo. Bakugo? Trust me, I won't tell anyone, he said while giving a military salute. Deku? Well, I do like Uraraka, he said making Bakugo smile, but I think she let me get close to her, he said sadly. You just saw her a while ago. Bakugo? Well, I think you should give her a little more time, he said patting her on the back, and you'll see how you can get closer to her. Deku? I think you're right while smiling. And you, he said looking at Bakugo. Bakugo? What do I care? He asked confused. Deku? Yes, who do you like? He asked, making Bakugo blush. Bakugo. Well, I like, he said blushing and nervous. Oh, but look, we're here, he said, pointing to the Gamma Gym. Deku? Don't change the subject, Kakin, he said watching the named walking quickly towards the gym and him walking behind Bakugo. Bakugo? Come on Deku, show me your new phase while opening his notebook. Deku? I won't do it until you tell me who you like, he said, making Bakugo blush. Bakugo, let's Deku, he said nervously. Deku? Just say it, Kakin, he said with a smile. I told you who, so it's only fair that you say it too. Bakugo? It's okay, you win. Resign. The one I like is Seiya, he said while blushing as much as he could. Deku? I thought it would be someone else, but I see that he has the same tastes as in my other timeline, he thought with a smile. I never thought that you would like Seiya, Kakin, he said with a smile. Bakugo? Well, I already told you, blushing, taking his pen. Now you will show me your new phase. Deku? Of course, he said getting into a combat position. One for all. Full cal 15%, he thought, making the red lines run all over his body and then showing the green rays, surprising Bakugo. Bakugo? That was great. While writing all the details in his notebook. How much can you use? He asked looking at Deku. Deku? Right now I'm using 15%, he said with a smile. Do you want to know how far I can go? He asked. Bakugo, of course, excited looking at Deku. Deku? Here we go. 30%, making the rays intensify a little more. 35%, 40%, 45%, he said, making the rays come out with more force, making Bakugo impressed. I think even 50% will be enough, he thought. 50%, he said, making the rays become stronger and his eyes shine a little more. Bakugo? That's great, Deku. While writing in his notebook, you can control half. Deku? Yes, he said and then deactivated the OFA. I think it's better if we go, he said as he started walking. Bakugo? You're right, walking behind Deku to leave the gym. Hey Deku, what do you think if we play video games, he said while smiling. Deku? Sure, showing a smile. So they left while talking about trivial things until they reached the dorms, where they went to the kitchen for some snacks and then went up to Bakugo's room, but what Deku didn't count on was that someone was watching them from a considerable distance. Uraraka. Today I will discover what you are hiding, Midoriya, she said seriously while writing something down in a notebook. Chapter 8. Suspicions and Ochako's discovery, part a half. 1 hour before. Uraraka walked annoyed towards her room while in her mind she cursed the name of a special person, Midoriya Izuku. That name did not inspire any confidence in her. Once in her room, she lay down on her bed while looking at the ceiling of her room. Uraraka. Stupid Midoriya, she said while frowning. Stupid, 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 she repeated while clenching her fists. Why don't you stop lying once and for all, she said while sitting on her bed. No one in their right mind can change their attitude from one day to the next. The last thing she said made the brunette stop a little. Not unless. The brunette quickly got out of bed to look for a notebook and a pen, which she quickly found. She sat down at her desk and opened her notebook, preparing to write. Uraraka. Well, I hope that the series NCIS Los Angeles, Law and Order, case closed and the Sherlock book are of some use, she said to write down in her notebook. Discovering the stupid Midoriya. Okay, first no change of attitude, she said while writing down the subject, if you can call it, that has had a radical change of attitude on Friday of last week. While writing down in her notebook, that is impossible, since it takes a long time for a person to change, she said, and then think about the attitude that Deku had before. If the subject was a narcissist, rude, manipulative, opportunistic, bad-tempered, jerk, etc., she wrote while frowning, and now he is a bread of God, she says indignantly while raising her arms. The brunette continued writing down Midoriya's change in attitude. When she finished, she put the pen down in the middle of her notebook to continue thinking about what other clues she had. She thought for a few minutes until she remembered what had happened, the new phase of his quirk. The brunette quickly got up from her seat, took her notebook, and ran down the hall until she reached the common room where some of her classmates looked at her curiously. The brunette continued running until she reached the doors of the Ganma gym, catching her breath. Once she did, she opened the door and saw how Bakugo and Deku were talking. Bakugo. Well, I already told you, blushing, taking his pen. Now you will show me your new phase. Deku. Of course, he said, placing himself in a combat position, making the red lines run all over his body and then showing the green rays, surprising Bakugo. Bakugo. That was great. While writing all the details in his notebook, how much can you use? He asked, looking at Deku. Deku. Right now I'm using 15%, he said with a smile. Do you want to know how far I can go? He asked. Bakugo, of course, excited, looking at Deku. Deku. Here we go, 30%, making the rays intensify a little more. 35%, 40%, 45%, he said, making the rays come out with more force, making Bakugo impressed. 50%, he said, making the rays become stronger and his eyes shine a little more. Bakugo. That's great, Deku, while writing in his notebook. You can control half. Deku. Yes, he said, and then deactivated the OFA. I think it's better if we go, he said as he started walking. Uraraka, upon hearing that, closed the door and ran back to the dorms without either boy noticing her presence. Once inside the dorms, the brunette was ready to return to her room but was stopped by a green-haired girl. Seiya. Ochako said, making the named one stop. Uraraka. Oh, Seiya, what's wrong? She asked, looking at her friend. Seiya. I wanted to ask you, why did you run out of the bedroom? Did something happen? Asked a worried little frog with her index finger on her lower lip. Uraraka. Nothing happened, Seiya. She smiled at her friend. It's nothing bad, downplaying it so the little frog wouldn't notice. Seiya. It's okay, Ochako, she said while smiling. I'm going to my room, she said goodbye while going up the elevator. At that moment the dormitory door opened, showing both boys smiling while they chatted animatedly as they walked towards the kitchen where they got some snacks and went towards the men's rooms. Uraraka. Today I will discover what you are hiding, Midoriya, she said seriously while writing in her notebook a new quirk. I will discover you. Who will you discover, Ochako? Asked a female voice that made the Machi lover get scared and look behind her. Uraraka. Me, Mina. She said nervously, looking at the pink girl. Mina. Tell me, Ochako, who will you discover? Yes, she said as she approached the brunette. Perhaps is it a boy, she said, making the brunette blush slightly. Uraraka. And it's nothing, mind nervous while moving her hands. I'm leaving, running towards the girls' dorms. Mina. I acted strange since Midori changed her attitude, she said, while placing her hand on her chin to think until she opened her eyes in surprise, unless she and him with her mouth open, looking where Uraraka went. The girl walked quickly through the halls with her hands on her blushed cheeks, still carrying her notebook. Once she got to her room, she locked herself in and then walked towards her desk where she left her notebook on the table and she sat in front of it. Uraraka. Well, Mina almost discovered me, she said, letting out a deep sigh. Well, what I have now could be worth millions, she said, opening her notebook. Well, what I discovered is that Midoriya's new phase is another quirk. Writing in her notebook, this quirk reminds me of one I've already seen, she said, and then remembered that Mirio had the same power, but instead of green rays they were purple. It's the same as Mirio's senpai, she said. Realizing her great discovery, then could it be, she said, then shaking her head, maybe I'll have to investigate a little more. If it would be better, I'll start following him and only then will I know the truth, with a determined look while clenching her fist. This chapter was made and produced thanks to Izuacha Enterprise, the company with quality green tea. Chapter 9. Suspicions and Ochako's Discovery, Part 2 halves. Uraraka's room, 5:30 am. 10 days left until Iri's rescue. The brunette was awake, very awake as she was preparing everything for her investigation. She had her notebook, 4 black pens, and a voice recorder. She had everything ready to begin the mission, discovering the idiot Midoriya. Uraraka. We have to take advantage of the fact that Midoriya gets up early while taking her backpack. We have to see his training closely to discover more about his other quirk. Leaving her room, Uraraka walked slowly through the dormitory so as not to wake anyone. Once outside she walked quickly to the gamma gym where there was no one. Uraraka. Damn, she said, entering. Maybe he didn't come now. Walking around the place the best thing would be, but she didn't finish when she saw how the door opened. Damn, if she made it, searching until she saw a pile of mattresses and hiding behind them. Deku. I thought someone was here, he said as he entered. Well, it doesn't matter. Entering and leaving his things on a bench. Time to start, he said, to do a few stretches. So the green-haired boy started doing a series of exercises such as running around the gym, push-ups, squats, barbells, etc., all under the watchful eye of the brunette, who looked at him in surprise and a bit of admiration. Deku. Warm-up finished, he said, surprising the brunette. It's time to start with the good stuff, he said, taking out some weights, the same ones the teachers used in the exam, but first, he said while taking off his shirt. Uraraka. Ochako's Vidakora, October 5, day 1 of investigation, she said, turning on her voice recorder. The subject has not shown his quirk, she said seriously at these moments. She said, well, seeing Deku shirtless, oh my god, he is very muscular and very good. Seeing how Deku flexed her arms, well, she blushed. And no, Ochako, concentrate, she thought while shaking her head. So a week passed after what happened. Uraraka continued watching Midoriya. She observed him in training, in classes, when he showered. Okay, no, not that to see if he suffered another change in attitude. What she noticed was that now he went to All Might's office very often, and one day she decided to go listen to what he was talking about. All Might. Well, Midoriya, tell me what you know about One for All, he said while drinking tea. Izuku. Well, before I mastered it completely until reaching 1,000,000%, he said, surprising All Might and raising doubts in Ochako, and now only 50% and with repercussions 60%. All Might. That's incredible, young Midoriya. He said in his muscular form, and then lost it. Izuku. But something happened, he said seriously. Last night I had a vestige, he said, surprising All Might. The first bearer told me that an evil would arise, he said, tensing All Might, and about some new quirks. All Might. This is interesting, he said while placing his hands on his chin. We have to be alert, he said, receiving a nod from Midoriya. Uraraka. One for what? New quirks. She thought to herself as she wrote it down. Already at lunchtime, Uraraka goes with her friends. Sigh. Lately Uraraka is busy all day, she said while looking at the brunette. Jiru. Yes, and if is it because of a boy? She said excitedly. Toru. Yes. Tell us, who is it? While moving his sleeves. Uraraka. Muttering, the subject has been visiting All Might's office a lot, she writes in her notebook. Sigh. What did you say, Ochako-chan? She said, touching the girl's shoulder. Uraraka. And no, nothing. I hope he didn't hear me, she thought to herself. Jiru. Well, Uraraka, are you going to tell us who? As he approached her. Uraraka. What do you mean? I asked, confused. Toru. The boy you're watching, he said so that Uraraka would be surprised. Uraraka. What? I don't know what you're talking about, nervous and blushing. Mina. Don't lie to us. Is it Midori? She suddenly changed her attitude. And you changed yours too, she said seriously while pointing at Uraraka with her fork. Uraraka. Huh. And no, not at all, saying nervously for fear of being discovered. Well, I have to go now, see you later. Momo. It seems that Ochako fell in love, I commented while eating. Jiru. New or Lee, little Ochako is growing up crying with pride next to Toru. Sigh. But who would have thought, catching the attention of girls, she fell in love with the person she supposedly hates. Mina. But Midori changed her attitude, she said seriously. It's logical that she's following him while chewing her sandwich. Momo. Well, we'll see how this goes, she said, receiving a nod from everyone. A lot of filling afterwards. After lunch, Uraraka continues watching Izuku until he enters his room, and she decides to wait outside until he comes out so she can enter. Uraraka. Fine, I'll go see what you're up to, Midoriya. She approaches the room and waits for Midoriya to leave before entering. Fine, it's my time to enter. Uraraka enters the green-haired boy's room. Once inside, she began to search the entire room until she went to the desk where there was a notebook with notes and decided to look at it, to which she was surprised to see the title. Uraraka. Timeline. Being shocked and deciding to continue reading. Incident with Overhaul and Yuri's rescue. At that moment, Uraraka decided to take the notebook with her and leave so that she wouldn't be discovered, but to her bad luck, the green-haired boy came in, causing the brunette to freeze in shock. Izuku. Uraraka. What are you doing here? He asked, looking at the brunette and then seeing that she had her notebook. Chapter 10. The Talk. Deku. Uraraka. What are you doing here? He asked looking at the brunette who had her notebook. Uraraka. No. What are you doing here? She asked, surprised and nervous. Deku. This is my room he said looking at the nervous brunette. Uraraka. How are you so sure? She said, looking at Deku with a frown. Deku? Because outside it says Midoriya he said, looking confused at the girl with chubby cheeks. Uraraka. Well, it's this nervously looking at the ground I'm going walking quickly but was stopped by Midoriya. Deku. Uraraka, why do you have my notebook? He asked looking at the girl's hands. Uraraka. This is me she thought while looking at him you know what the devil getting out of this one's grip I already discovered you Midoriya she said opening her book I discovered your secret. Deku. What secret? What are you talking about, Uraraka? He asked, looking at the girl. Uraraka. Yes, Midoriya, in these last few days I've been following you and I've collected a lot of data about you she said looking at him with a triumphant smile, I also know about something called One for All. Deku. Damn, he knows about One for All, so he also knows about he thought scared, how much do you know? He asked seriously, making the brunette nervous. Uraraka. Enough to know about Autumn timeline nervous because of the green-haired boy's gaze. Deku. Sighing in defeat do you want to know the truth? He asked seeing the brunette nod doubtfully, then come I'll tell you everything walking to sit on his bed sit down, this will be long, but first, what do you want to know? He asked showing a smile that made the brunette blush. Uraraka. Well I want to know about the timeline she said looking at the green-haired boy. Deku. Well, this will be a little hard to believe looking at an attentive brunette I was from a timeline further ahead than this one, to be exact 1 year. Uraraka. And, how did you end up here? She asked, looking at the green-haired boy. Deku. In my timeline I died in battle he said astonishing the Machi lover that day the League of Villains organized an invasion in the city, where several heroes and aspirants had to fight, several of my companions died, including you he said, looking at the brunette with sadness, which was in shock, it was a very hard battle, in the end I had to fight against Shigaraki. I was about to win, but the bastard wanted to attack a child with one of his kaseis, while clenching his fists, then I got in the middle and I received the attack, and from there I began to use all my power against Shigaraki, I defeated him, and well, I died seeing the brunette which was amazed. Uraraka. And, what else happened? She asked worriedly. Deku. He smiled making the brunette look at him with curiosity, the boy I saved helped me get here he said, making the brunette frown. Uraraka. How can I help you? She asked, looking at him curiously. Deku. He granted my wish and I am very grateful, you know he said looking at the brunette with a small smile. Uraraka. What wish? She asked nervously and blushed. Deku. I see can't tell you nervously turning his gaze. Uraraka. Why don't you want to tell me? I asked a little annoyed. Deku. It's a something complicated nervous and playing with his fingers. Uraraka. Tell me or I'll tell everyone your secret she said showing the notebook. Deku. No. Are you okay? I'll tell you resigned, making the brunette smile what I asked was, I wish to hear your voice again Ochako he said nervously and very blushed. Uraraka. Blushing, bringing her hands to her cheeks, making herself float SS said that SS wanted to hear my voice, she thought blushing Deku. Uraraka getting up from the bed I'll help you raising his hand to use his whip and take her by the waist, don't move too much lowering her until she was in front of him are you better now? He asked looking at the blushing brunette. Uraraka. Why yes do and worry she said and then sighed see can you tell me, what kind of real relationship did we have in your timeline? She asked nervously as she sat on the freckled boy's bed. Deku. No we were a C couple he said blushing 1,000 times like the brunette we had been dating for a year no he said nervously do you have more questions? He asked avoiding looking at her directly. Uraraka. I can't believe we were boyfriend and girlfriend. She thought blushing well he is different from the old Midoriya she said looking at him surreptitiously maybe I can try to be with him she thought blushing this one, I have 2 more questions 1, what is One for All? And 2 what do you have in this notebook? Showing the green-haired boy's notebook. Deku. Okay, One for All is a quirk that is passed down from generation to generation like a sacred torch he said, looking at the brown-haired girl a person gave me this quirk because he said I had everything to be a great hero with a small smile, this power greatly increases your physical capacity to the point that if I exceed my limit, I can break my body he said, surprising the brown-haired girl. Uraraka. By person do you mean Almight? I asked looking at the green-haired boy. Deku. How do you know, right? You followed me everywhere, he said, looking at the chestnut. If he was the one who gave me this power, looking at his fist. And about the notebook are different events that will happen, he said. Well, taking his notebook for example. In 3 days there will be the mission against the Yakuza. In a week there will be a cultural festival where some villains will try to invade UA. In 3 weeks high-end Namu will appear. It is an intelligent Nomu with more than 2 quirks. In a month there will be the fight between Class A and Class B. After that we didn't know anything else about the league, he sighed, until it was the invasion, looking at the chestnut. Uraraka. How many people can know this? She asked, surprised. Deku? Only they know, Almight, Mirio and you, he said, looking at the brunette. I would like you to tell no one and keep it a secret, please, looking at the brunette. Uraraka. Okay, don't tell anyone, she smiled, blushing, but I'll tell you something, catching the broccoli's attention. I thought your wish was very nice, nervous and blushing. Deku. This tea is nothing, he said nervously and turning his gaze. I just thought it was beautiful to see or hear you again, he said unconsciously, blushing the brunette. Uraraka. Why, you mean it, she said, looking at him, blushing. Deku. Why, yes, nervous, I would do it 1,000 times, he smiled, blushing. Uraraka. Why, you know, I'd like to get to know you better, she said, looking at the green-haired boy. Deku. I think Ochako is smiling and blushing massively at the brunette. Uraraka. That's good, Izuku smiling. Chapter 11. Getting to know you better. The next day. 3 days left until Iri's rescue. The green-haired man could be seen walking through the hallways of the dormitories on his way to the dining room. The green-haired man had a big smile on his face. He felt happy to know that Uraraka now trusted him a little more and that she was willing to get to know him. Kirishima. Midoriya. Shouted from the other side of the hallway. Deku. Kirishima. Stopping so the Rejection could catch up with him. Kirishima. Tell me, aren't you excited? He asked, showing a big smile. Deku. Of course I am, tomorrow we have hero practices, smiling while raising his fist. Kirishima. Yes, we will show them that no one can beat us, smiling a little arrogantly. Deku. Okay, let's eat, as he entered the elevator. Along the way, both boys chatted about their internships and what they were doing. Once they arrived at the cafeteria, they greeted everyone they met and walked to the kitchen for breakfast. Once outside, they focused on eating their food. Kirishima. Midoriya, calling the freckled boy's attention. What do you think if we train today? He asked, showing a smile. Deku. I stopped, he didn't finish because he was interrupted by a female voice. Midoriya, we can talk, he said, and then looked at the Rejection alone. Deku. It is clear. Uraraka nervously walking behind the brunette who was heading to the kitchen. On the other side, the dining room. The group of girls watched the scene with astonishment and curiosity, since Uraraka had never asked to talk to Midoriya alone. Duru. What do you think they're talking about? Excitedly moving her sleeves. Jiro. I don't know, but I want to know, equally excited. Momo. I don't think it's right, but I'm also curious, she said while eating. Sai. Then we have to spy on them, said excitedly Kyoka, calling the attention of the violet-haired girl. Listen to what they say. Jiro understood, stretching his connectors to nail it to the wall. In the kitchen. Deku. What do you want to talk about, Uraraka? He asked, looking at a nervous brunette. Uraraka. Well, after talking yesterday while playing with her fingers, I would like us to spend time together, with a slight blush. Deku. This seems nervous to me, as he looked away. Uraraka. Great, excited. What do you think if we have lunch together at school? She asked, showing a smile. Deku. Yes, I would love to, he smiled back. We have to go back if it will get late, while walking to the door. Uraraka. You're right. But the girls. They were really excited because their friend had asked a boy out on a date. Jiro. Can you believe it, he said happily. Ochako has a date with Midoriya. Mina. It was coming. Lately Ochako has been very attentive to Midori, watching the other girls. Sai. Okay, shall we spy on them? She asked, looking at the others. Momo. It seems fine to me, I want to see what happens between them, joining her hands. Duru. It's decided, we'll spy on them at lunch, receiving a nod from everyone. Time jump is a hit. We met in room 1 where our dear and kind Izawa was teaching his classes to the students, some of whom were paying attention. Izawa. Well, that's all, closing a notebook, making everyone let out a sigh of relief before leaving. I hope you're ready for your practices, guys, all of you offspring, showing a small smile. Everyone. Hi sensei, then leave the classroom. Uraraka. Midoriya running after him. Are we going to eat? She asked, standing next to him. Deku. Sure, let's go. Duru. Look, girls, pointing at the green tea couple, they're leaving, we have to go fast. Balturu. Okay. Uraraka. Hey Midoriya, calling the green-haired boy's attention. Deku. What's going on? Uraraka. I wanted to know how we became non-boyfriends in your timeline. She asked, blushing. Deku. Well, it was at the cultural festival, he said while blushing after presenting our act. We decided to walk around the stands together all day. When it got dark there was a fireworks show, and that's where it was. Flashback. On the roof of the school you could see a green-haired man and a brunette who were leaning on the railing looking at the sky that was illuminated by the colors of the fireworks. Uraraka. This is very beautiful, right? Deku looking at the sky with a smile. Deku? You're right. Uraraka then saw the face of the brunette who saw with great emotion and astonishment the colors that appeared in the sky. I think my moment has come, it's time to say what I feel, but what if he rejects me? Maybe I should know. I have to act like Hiroshima says, I have to be a man, he thought while he saw the brunette. Is this Uraraka nervous and blushing? Uraraka. What's wrong Deku? She asked looking at the nervous green-haired boy. Deku? Well, here we go, he thought and then took a breath and saw an expectant brunette. Uraraka, there is something I have to tell you, pausing to look at the ground and speak. That since I met you, you are one of the most important people in my life. You have been the first in everything in this time. You have been the first friend, the first girl I talked to apart from my mother, the first one I chatted with on the phone. You are the first one who calls me Deku without it being an insult, and you are also the first, pausing again to see the face of a very blushing brunette. You are the first girl I have fallen in love with, blushing looking at the brunette. I don't know how it happened or how it was, but I fell madly in love with you. You're no Ochako. I don't know what it was, if it was your cute brown hair, your beautiful hazel eyes, your beautiful smile that shines like diamonds, or your nice attitude with me. So kneeling in front of her. Uraraka. Deku, she said, very blushed and happy. Deku? Uraraka. Ochako, my cute, tender and adorable brunette, would you like to be the girlfriend of this crybaby, shy and clumsy green-haired boy? He asked while seeing the machi lover who had her hands on her mouth and tears running down her cheeks. Uraraka. Relaxing a little to be able to answer this. Deku, the truth, I can't be your girlfriend. Looking down. Deku? What? Was what he said while tears threatened to come out of his eyes. Uraraka. I can't be your girlfriend because, then looked at him with tenderness. I want to be the fiancé of this crybaby, shy and clumsy green-haired boy, she said while she threw herself at the green-haired boy to give him a kiss. End of flashback. Deku? It was something like that, nervous and blushing, avoiding the brunette's gaze. As for Uraraka, her face was boiling, she literally looked like a ripe tomato. Momo. What would Midoriya have said to make Ochako be like this? She commented while looking at the couple. Jiro. I don't know, I can't connect at that distance, she said, a little disappointed. Jiro. I really like this couple, he said happily while taking photos. Jiro. She's very pretty, but I thought Ochako would stay with Bakugo, he commented, receiving WTF looks from everyone. What? I thought that since they were always together. Mina. They may have always been together, but they just don't look good together. I don't like it, she said with disgust. You're crazy, who in their right mind would come up with that, she said angrily. It's only a retarded person without culture who puts them together. Seiya. You're right, Mina, they're mentally ill, she said, and then looked at the couple. Oh, she said, drawing everyone's attention. Momo. What's wrong, Seiya? I asked looking at the frog. Seiya. Trouble in paradise, pointing at how a pink-haired girl approached the couple. Turu. The Bakugo rocket is already on, he said, making Mina see it. Mina. Turu, it's not, this shit is already on fire, she said, so the invisible girl could see her. Turu. And what's the difference, he said, making mine answer true. But the couple. Uraraka. That was very cute. Midoriya blushes, playing with her fingers. Deku. Maybe I'll confess to you too, he murmured, blushing. Uraraka. Did you say something? She asked, looking at the green-haired man, who quickly denied it. Deku. Not just, he didn't finish as he was interrupted by a female voice. Hello Midoriya, he said as he sat next to him. Deku. Eho hi Hatsume, he said nervously looking at the pink-haired girl. Hatsume this Midoriya, I was wondering if you wanted to walk around school with me? She asked, blushing, causing the brunette to feel annoyed. Deku. Well, I can't right now, he said while looking at the brunette. I already have plans with Uraraka, he said, making the pink-haired girl look at the brunette. Hatsume. It doesn't matter what happens tomorrow, maybe we can go on a date, what do you say? He asked as he approached the freckled boy. Uraraka. I'm so sorry, Hatsume, while pulling the green-haired boy's arm. Midoriya and I have a lot of things to do together, so excuse us getting up next to Deku. We have to go walking, while holding the green-haired boy's arm. So both boys left, leaving a pink-haired girl alone. During the walk the two were walking in silence until the green-haired boy decided to speak. Deku. Uraraka, are you okay? He asked, seeing how the girl had a frown. Uraraka. A little relaxed. I'm fine, just forget it and let's go back to the classroom, okay? She said looking at the green-haired boy. After all, today we have to present ourselves to the internship, she said, looking at the green-haired boy. Deku. You're right, walking with the chubby cheeks to the living room. On the way to the hall they both continued talking very animatedly. When they arrived they were interrupted by a person. Midoriya making both of them slow down. "We have to talk, it's important," he said seriously. "Deku? This, Uraraka, can you tell Izawa that I'll be late?" Looking at the brunette. "Uraraka. Clara." Midoriya good luck as she walked down the hallway. "Deku? Well, what do you want to talk about, Mirio?" he asked looking at Tintin on steroids. "Mirio? We can't here, we have to go with All Might," seriously as he approached the green-haired man. "It's about Eri." Having said this they both left. Chapter 12. Talking about our future. NA. From this chapter on there are spoilers for the manga. I will change some things so that they are not so spoilery. All Might's office. "All Might. Good thing you came." Young Mirio and young Midoriya with a smile. "Deku? All Might, not to be rude, but why did he call us?" Mirio said he was from Eri, but I already told you everything. Looking at All Might. "All Might. Well, you see, I called them too." He didn't finish speaking because the door was opened by a tall man. "Because they haven't told me anything." Seriously as he closed the door and walked through the living room, "So I want you to tell me everything, brat." "Deku? Yes sir." Night-Eye surprised looking at the person in front of him. "Night-Eye? So you know me?" "This will be easier." While taking a seat in front of the green-haired man, "All Might told me everything about you making Deku see All Might, so I want to hear it from you. So tell me, what awaits us from this mission?" "Seriously? Deku? Fine, I'll tell you everything I know and what happened during that mission." Looking directly into the man's eyes. "The base of the Perceps is located in the center of Tokyo. I don't remember where it was exactly, in an old Yakuza base. The moment we arrived we were received by one of the members called." So Deku explained who they met, the quirks of each one, the way in which they were separated, the fights that were fought, who were injured. The two members of the league and who died, and the way Mirio lost his gift, and that's how it all happened. Looking at the ground. "Night-Eye. I see we've been through a lot." Seriously while holding his hand to his chin, "But thanks to that, the Yakuza organization disintegrated, we recovered Little Eri, and we're left with the anti-quirk bullets." "Mirio? So I lost my quirk when I saved someone," he said while showing a big smile. "All Might. I think I chose very well." Looking at Mirio and Deku. "Deku? Speaking of bullets catching everyone's attention, these disappeared during the transfer of overhaul. According to the guards, the League of Villains betrayed the Yakuza and stole the bullets, and it was never known what they did with them." While he saw everyone. "Night-Eye. Now that we know this we will take more measures to prevent it, but the future is never changed." "Deku? But. Night-Eye. Even if you did it, it doesn't mean you can do it twice, kid." Seriously, then he sees Midoriya. "I'll use my quirk on you and see what awaits us." "No, maybe." Surprised. "All Might. What's up sir?" Looking at his ex-partner. Night-Eye his future still surprised. "Mirio? What about Midoriya's future?" he asked worriedly. Night-Eye. It's blank. Looking at the green-haired boy. "Deku?" Blank looking doubtfully at Night-Eye. Night-Eye. "Yes, it's like if your future was being written." Looking at Deku. "In a few words you can modify your and our future young." Showing a small smile. "With me the mission will be perfect, and with the information it will be easy." While getting up, "But don't get too confident, that doesn't mean that nothing will happen, so get ready guys." Looking at Mirio and Deku, "Because tomorrow we will start the mission, and then leave through the door." Almight. "Well young people, I hope and all of you on the mission." Looking serious and then showing a smile, "And bring that little girl who doesn't deserve to be in those circumstances safely." Show your best smile and tell Little Eri transforming everything is okay now. "Do you know why?" "Because I am here." Losing his muscles while spitting blood. "Both." "Sure." All Might smiling as they stood up. "All Might. You guys can leave." Both hi. Outside the office. Mirio. "Well, Midoriya, it's time to go back to school." Looking at the green-haired boy. "See you tomorrow at the agency." While walking down the hallway. Deku? "Yes, goodbye Mirio." He said goodbye walking in another direction. After so Deku returned to his classroom only to receive everyone's stares for his unpunctuality. Once he entered, classes resumed normally. The green-haired boy barely paid attention as he was thinking about what Nigthai had said to him, but what he didn't realize was that a brunette was staring at him with concern. After finishing classes everyone went to the dorms where the freckled one walked behind everyone, which ended when the brunette stood next to him. "Uraraka. Midoriya, are you okay?" she asked worriedly. "Deku? Yes." Uraraka, calm down, "It's just that I'm processing something." Looking at the brunette. "Uraraka. It's about Eri, right?" Looking at the green-haired boy who smiled. "Calm down Midoriya, everything will be fine. If she was already rescued in your line, it will be in this one too. You just have to have faith and everything will turn out very well. We will be able to rescue Eri and make her very happy, so we will give our best effort." Raising her fist while smiling. "Deku? You're right, Uraraka." Looking at her with a smile, he said, "Thank you very much, you always know how to cheer me up, especially with your beautiful smile." While closing his eyes, he was still smiling. "Uraraka. Thanks, blushing, looking away. I also really like your smile, looking at the green-haired boy. Deku. Thank you very much, but we have to hurry, Ochako, they left us behind while walking faster. Uraraka. You're right, Izuku walking just as fast. Deku. Eri, wait a little longer, he thought while clenching his fists. Very soon I will save you and make you smile again with a determined look. Tokyo. Yakuza base. In a small room where you could see several toys and stuffed animals on the floor and a large bed where there was a white-haired girl with horns on her forehead, wrapped in arms and legs, crying while hugging a stuffed animal. Please someone help me, someone who save me from this hell, while crying louder. Chapter 13. Mission. Capture the 8 death percepts. UA dormitories, 5 a.m. 2 days left until Eri's rescue. In a room you could see a green-haired man fixing his school uniform and preparing his backpack. Deku. It's time, taking his backpack to leave his room. Once in the main hall. Hello Midoriya, he greeted upon seeing the green-haired boy. Deku. Asui, looking at the frog-featured girl. Midoriya. Seiya entered in the house. Seiya. Ochako smiled at the brunette. Deku. Uraraka, looking at the girl with a blush. Kirishima. Entering, drawing everyone's attention, Kirishima looking at everyone disappointed. Seiya. Ignoring that, what are you doing up at this hour? I asked, looking at the three. Deku. I have to go with Mirio. Kirishima. And me with Tamaki. Uraraka. Nejire and I, while Seiya said, hey, what do you think if we go to the subway together, while smiling? During the walk to the station the boys talked among themselves about different things, such as classes, internships, and theorized the reason for their calling. Kirishima. It also seems like we'll be taking the same train, seeing that everyone was walking towards the same cabin. Uraraka. Iso Paris. I'm skip because I don't like making Naruto. Deku. Are you sure you guys are too? Looking at the three boys who nodded, then everything will start, we're coming for you Eri, he thought while closing his fist. Eyes. You arrived just in time. Deku. Mirio, looking at the blonde. Mirio. Come in, you have to know this, as he entered the building with the other aspiring heroes. Sir Night-Eye Agency. Boardroom. The 5 boys entered a large room where they could see different heroes who were ranked among the top 20. Kirishima. There are many great heroes, he exclaimed, smiling. Oh look, there are Tamaki and Nejire, pointing at the boys who approached them. Tamaki. Hey Mirio, guys. Nejire. Nice to see you all, she smiled as she approached. Seiya. May I ask, why are we here? While having her indie finger in her Mentos. Mirio. We don't know either, while he stood next to the green-haired man. Maybe we have a mission. Whatever it is, you have to be prepared, I spoke behind the boys. Uraraka. Professor Aizawa. Surprised, looking at her teacher. Aizawa. It's good to see you guys here, looking at the 4 boys. Kirishima. Professor Aizawa, do you know why we are here? He asked, looking at his teacher. Aizawa. Calm down, now they'll know. Why are there children here? Asked angrily a dark-haired man. They have the same right to be here just like you and I, Rocklock, I think that's how it's written, looking with a frown. Rocklock. Whatever you say, Ryukyo, while looking away. I see that everyone is here, entering the room with 2 people, please take a seat, while he stood in front of everyone. Tell us why we are all here, Night-Eye asked a big man. Night-Eye. I have summoned you here because I need your help, looking at everyone. As you know, in recent years, I have been monitoring the Yakuza organization, better known as the 8 Percepts of Death, which in this time have been in constant movement and allied with the League of Villains. Ryuko. So they have become more dangerous, she commented seriously. Night-Eye. And more, with this showing a transparent bag containing a bullet. These are anti-quirk bullets. This is what the Percepts have in their possession and plan to distribute throughout the criminal underworld. Patgum. How did you get that bullet? He asked seriously. Night-Eye. During an arrest by a member of my agency, the criminal had one of these, he explained, showing the bullet. After obtaining it, we interrogated the criminal about what it was, and he answered that it was an anti-quirk bullet. After that we investigated the content, pausing, and what we found was blood and human cells, he said, making everyone amazed. Uraraka. This is what Izuku told me then. She thought, frustrated and closing her fists tightly. Ryuko. How is it possible? She commented in amazement. Patgum. Are you sure about this? He commented angrily, seeing Sir nod. Damn bastards. Night-Eye. That's the reason why I summoned you. I want you to help me stop these wretches and be able to save the girl who is locked up. The last thing said by the seer exalted everyone. Rocklock. Wait, girl. He has a kidnapped girl, he asked worriedly. Night-Eye. A few days ago we discovered a member of the Percepts in a toy store buying dolls and stuffed animals while showing a toy for girls. This is the toy she bought. Then I looked at her future and I could see a girl of only 7 years old covered in bandages on her arms and legs, he said, to see everyone angry. Ryukyo. Count on me sir, she said seriously, I will not allow that little girl to continue suffering. Brocklock. I still won't allow it, and even less so now. Well, he had a photo of his pregnant wife. Azawa. Also with me, after all they will need me. Patgum. Then I'm ready to destroy those bastards. As he stood up. Night-eye. Thank you very much for your help. Bowing. The mission will begin tomorrow, and guys, looking at Deku and company, that everything you heard gets out of here and be ready. All high. Then leave. In Tokyo. Yakuza base. So you are from the League? Looking at two people, I expected something better. I can be very useful to you, stupid, replied a blonde girl. Toga is right, you are very wrong. Making JoJo's poses the Asian Deadpool. Anyway, let's go. Walking ahead of them. Toga hi. Walking happily through the halls. You know, twice I fulfilled one of my dreams. Twice. Be with me. I'm sorry, this won't work. Toga. No. She denied while smiling. I'll finally be a mafia member. Twice. What a great dream, how ridiculous. Everything is ready for you heroes. Finally you will know what Yakuza power is, and you will know that this society is sick while entering a room. All. We're ready. Mr. Overhaul standing in front of him. Overhaul. Well, just wait. Chapter 14. The mission begins. We will rescue Yuri. UA dormitories. 3 a.m. 5 o'clock hours left until Yuri's rescue. In the recreation room of Class A. Deku. It's time, guys. Looking at his cell phone. Uraraka. Okay, let's go get our outfits, I commented. Hiroshima. We have to hurry. As he walked towards his room. Seiya quickly Ochako as she walked next to the chestnut. Minutes later. UA in trance. Azawa. I hope you guys are ready. You are about to enter the world of professionals. Looking at his students. You have to give your best. Get in the car, let's go. All. Hi. Entering with their teacher. On the way, everyone was in absolute silence. Everyone was very focused on what was coming. In a few hours, they would be in a situation more dangerous than the invasion of the camp. They had the clearest feeling that they could die at any moment during the rescue. Minutes passed and they had already arrived at Sir Night-Eye's agency. The moment they entered, they could see several police officers and professional heroes all over the place, walking among them to get to the locker room to put on their hero suits. Once ready, they proceeded to go with the others. Hiroshima. Everyone looks very calm, right Midoriya? He asked, looking at the green-haired boy. Deku. Of course, it's very normal for them. Looking at the Rejection since they live it daily. Hiroshima. They are so cool. Us too Midoriya. This is the moment in which we can defeat the League once and for all, bringing his fist closer to him. You agree, smiling at his friend. Deku. Of course Hiroshima, we'll finish them all once and for all, bumping fists, although in truth this isn't like that. Mirio. You guys look very excited. Looking at the two. Hiroshima. Of course we will show those villains that we are better, smiling a little arrogantly. Mirio. That's how you talk. Looking at the Rejection. Deku. Let's give it our best. The live-haired boy encouraged with a smile. All that conversation and the blonde smile didn't go unnoticed by the brunette, who was looking at the green-haired boy with a more pronounced blush on her cheeks. Seiya. Ochako, what are you looking at so much? She asked, observing her friend's face. Uraraka. Huh? I'm not living anything, avoiding the green-haired girl's gaze. Seiya. You know Ochako, calling the girl's attention. You've been weird for the last week, so tell me, are you hiding something, Ochako? She asked while looking at her with suspicion. Uraraka. What? Of course not. Seiya nervously looking at her friend. Seiya. I know you very well, Ochako. I know you're lying to me. Looking at her with a frown. I've also seen you spend a lot of time with Midoriya, while smiling mischievously. What? Are you two dating? She asked, blushing a lot at the brunette. Uraraka. We are not boyfriends. Blushing looking at Seiya. We are just getting to know each other. Playing with her fingers. It is still too soon to be boyfriends, she said unconsciously. Seiya. So you like it? He answered enthusiastically, surprising the brunette. Uraraka. Please don't tell anyone, she said desperately. I still don't know if what I feel for him is love. Seiya. That's too bad. Disappointed, but don't worry, you'll know very soon. Uraraka. I hope so. Since she didn't finish because a loud voice was heard in the room. Night-Eye. Thank you all for coming. He exclaimed, looking at everyone. Today we will be in charge of dismantling the death percepts and saving a girl who has been kidnapped. This will be one of the most difficult missions we have. Maybe some of us will die during this mission, but he said and then smiled. Everything is to protect the people and save that girl who does not deserve the hell she is going through, because that is what it means to be a hero. All. Hi. Night-Eye. Very well, we will form up as follows, and then a list of names will be shown on the screen. First, the Ryukyu agency will be in charge of covering our backs with a part of the police team, seeing to accentuate those names. Then the Fatum agency, Night-Eye, and the other part of the police will enter to rescue and confront the Yakuza members, and then look at everyone. Any questions? He asked, seeing that no one said anything. Well, we have 3 hours to get to the base, so let's go. Time jump. Yakuza base, 30 minutes until mission begins. More than 100 heroes and police officers could be seen in front of a house with an old Japanese design, ready to begin the raid on the Yakuza. Izawa. Midoriya approaching the green-haired boy. You know why I'm in your group, right? Looking at him seriously. Deku. Of course I know. Raise her head, seriously looking at the teacher. I will do my best to not be a burden to you. Izawa. I know you'll give your best. Midoriya showing a small smile. Deku. Yes, he smiled. I'm here, Eri. I'll rescue you like I did last time, I promise you on my life, Eri, he thought seriously. Random guy. We have to start, he said, approaching the door. Be ready, but he was interrupted by an explosion at the door, in which a tall and muscular guy came out. There's a lot of noise out here, he said, angrily looking at everyone. It's too early for that, and I'm angry. Night-eye. It's like Midoriya said, he thought in amazement. That's Rikiya Katsukam, Ryukyu, you know what to do. He shouted, looking at the dragon heroine, one of my BHNA MILF wafus. Ryukyu. Understood, then transform. Come on, girls. Najire. Yes ma'am, I smiled to fly with her. Kirishima. Uraraka. Sayo, good luck, he smiled looking at the young women. Girls. Yes. Smiling too. Deku. Take care, Ochako, he said looking at the brunette. Uraraka. I say the same, Izuku, and then kiss the green-haired boy's cheek and leave. Thank you. Low hair. Mirio. Come on, Deku. He shouted, seeing the green-haired boy. Deku. Let's go, running to Mirio's side. We have to do it. Mirio. Yes. Smiling. Both. We will rescue you, Eri. Entering the building where everything began to distort. Deku. Damn you, mimic, he thought angrily, watching everything move. Chapter 15. Midoriya vs Sasaki. Yakuza base, 1 o'clock hour since the mission began. During that time, several obstacles arose for the group of heroes, forcing them to go their separate ways. The first was Tamaki, who had to fight the 3 dogs of hell. I honestly don't remember their names, in which it was a tough battle, in which he emerged as the winner. Next up were Kirishima and Fat Gum, who faced off in a deadly fight against Rappa and Tengai, resulting in a draw, where Kirishima put his toughness to the test against Rappa's strong blows. Afterwards, Midoriya, Aizawa, Sir Nyaitai and Rock Lock were ambushed by Toga and Mimic, who thanks to Aizawa's eraser quirk, were able to buy enough time for Midoriya to support Mirio, who was in a fight against Overhaul, who wanted to recover Eri, who was in the custody of the young hero. At this moment, the young green-haired boy could be seen running through the destroyed corridors of the place. The boy ran with all his strength. He had to avoid at all costs that Mirio lost the 2 quirks he had. Deku. Hold on, Mirio, jumping on the walls. I'm on my way. Mirio was surrounded by purple lightning. I don't remember what color I gave them, while panting from exhaustion, looking at Overhaul, who was with a gun in his hand pointing at the young hero. Overhaul. I'm tired of hero games, pointing directly at Eri. Let's see what you're willing to do. Sacrifice your quirk or let that monster die. Loading the weapon, choose quickly. He didn't finish when he was interrupted by a scream and a blow to his ribs. Deku. Shoot style. St. Louis smash. Hitting the masked man in the ribs, sending him against the wall. Are you okay, Mirio? He asked, looking at the blonde. Mirio. Why yes, I'm just tired, he panted, and then deactivated the OFA. It's still difficult to use both quirks at the same time. Deku. At least this time I arrived on time, he thought while smiling. Mirio. Careful, Midoriya. He shouted, alerting the freckled man that a large pillar was approaching him at full speed, but he barely managed to dodge it. Overhaul. That really hurt me, placing his hand on his ribs and activating his gift. I'll make you feel that pain 10 times more. Damn hero, watching as the freckled man got up. Deku. Mirio, get Eri out of here. Getting into a fighting stance, I'll finish him off. So run, Mirio, run. Launching himself against the villain. Overhaul. You're brave, placing his hands on the ground, but I'll still kill you, damn it, making several spikes come out of the ground. The young hero only dodged with difficulty each spike that came out of the ground to be able to approach the Yakuza villain. When the boy was prepared to jump on one of the spikes, the masked villain undid them, making the green-haired boy fall to the ground, which Overhaul took advantage of to open the earth, but the boy, using his whips, managed to avoid falling into the villain's trap. Overhaul. You're skilled, watching as the hero stood up. Deku. They've always told me, showing a smile. Overhaul. Why are you smiling? Don't you realize the power difference? He asked arrogantly. Deku. Once a person told me, making the OFA rays come out of his body, that the strongest people are those who smile, and then went at full speed against the villain, one for all. Full cowl. 30%, he thought, stretching his fist to try to smash. To hit the villain's stomach, who was thrown against the wall. Overhaul. That was painful. While spitting blood, it's time to get real. As soon as he said that, the villain's henchmen began to gather around him while a light came on in the place. Outside the Yakuza base. The members of the Ryukyu agencies were finishing capturing the villain who was unconscious. Ryukyo. Good job girl, she spoke in her dragon form, you did excellent. Najire. Thank you very much, boss, with a tired smile. Sai. We did it. Ochako. Kiro walking to the chestnut. Ochako. Yes. With a smile looking at her friend, although how will the she didn't finish when she was interrupted by a huge explosion. Ryukyo. Come on girls, moves starting to fly. Ochako. I hope you're okay, Izuku, she thought worriedly as she ran through the rubble. With Mirio. The boy walked slowly through the destroyed corridors, followed by the little Eri. The young hero tried not to fall unconscious from exhaustion. He continued walking until he leaned against the walls while panting, scaring the girl a little. Mirio. Calm looking at the girl with a tired smile, I'll be fine. This is my fault, he thought looking at Mirio. I'm a monster. Well, small tears came out of his eyes. I have to prevent more people from dying, starting to run back. Mirio. No Eri, wait. He shouted but fell to the ground. Curse. Eri. I don't want them to die because of a monster like me running faster. With Deku. The boy just watched as the light grew bigger and bigger in front of him. He could only watch in frustration as the villain gained more strength until the light dissipated, showing a semi-monstrous figure. Overhaul. I hope you're ready to die, looking at the freckled young man who only showed a bigger smile. Deku. I'm excited. While he got into a fighting stance, let's see who is stronger. Overhaul. Well, he expelled more green rays, one for all. Full cowl. 45% he thought while he launched himself against the villain. Only the clash of blows could be heard in the place. Both adversaries were throwing blows left and right, giving no time to breathe. That was until the arrival of the little girl who stood between them. Deku. No Eri, what are you doing? Looking at the girl who was crying. Eri. I don't want them to risk themselves for a monster like me, walking with my head down until Overhaul. Overhaul. That's right, you're a monster who deserves to be restrained. Watching the girl walk up to him. I'm the only one who can control you. Deku. Lie. He shouted, making Eri see him. She is not a monster, she is just an innocent girl who deserves to be happy, and I will take care of that. Making the girl be surprised and Overhaul frown. The real monster is Uchisaki. Overhaul. It doesn't matter. Taking Eri and jumping out of the subway. It's time to go, little monster. Deku. I won't let you. Jumping in the same direction as Uchisaki. Come on, Eri. Stretching his arm towards the girl. Eri. She just looked with tears in her eyes at the young hero's hand. Letting go of the Yakuza and being caught by the green-haired man. Overhaul. The damn thing isn't coming back. He shouted, watching Deku fall to the ground with great care, thanks to his whips. I'll kill you, bastard. Letting himself fall to the ground, raising a large curtain of smoke. Deku. Eri, are you okay? Seeing the girl who was sobbing. Eri. She didn't say anything and just hugged the boy. Thank you, crying on the green-haired man. Thank you very much. Wow, the monster has feelings. A hoarse voice was heard in the place. Deku. Eri stays behind me, standing in front of the girl. The smoke cleared, revealing a large, truly monstrous figure in front of them. Overhaul. Nothing matters anymore, now everyone will die, he said, looking in the direction of the young man and the girl. Sorry, porn, get a color 1. Deku. And I will avoid that, getting into a fighting stance. Sasaki. Chapter 16. One for all. Full cowl 100%. Overhaul. What's wrong, hero? He asked while finishing his transformation. Why are you shaking? Perhaps is it fear? Well, he slowly approached him. Deku. No, it's not fear, he thought while seeing his arms tremble. This is excitement of fighting to the death with you again, Chisaki, he thought while forming a smile. Overhaul. You're so scared you're not responding, as he stood a few feet away from him. Deku. He of course not expelling green rays. One for all. Full cowl 70%, he thought while the rays became intense. Eri calling the little girl's attention. It's better if you go. Eri. PP, but she said, scared, looking at the guy. Deku. Calm down, everything will be okay, showing a big smile. Now run. The girl just nodded and started running. Overhaul. You're not leaving, monster. Moving at full speed towards Eri. Now die. Raising one of his hands towards her. Deku. I won't let you. While preparing his fist for Overhaul to try to smash. Hitting the creature's face. Your fight is with me. Overhaul. Being crashed against a building. Hahaha, very good, hero, you will be the first to die. Runs towards the green-haired boy. Die, throwing the blow, which Izuku could barely cover. What's happening, hero? While he grabbed the boy by the torso and slammed him against the ground. Is that all you have? Deku. Spits blood. He of course that's not all. While wrapping his arms with the black whips. We have to fight. Chisaki jumping quickly and giving a strong blow to the creature's face, raising it to the sky. Aura, giving a series of blows. Overhaul only dedicated himself to receiving the series of Midoriya's fists, while his monstrous body was slowly satiated, the villain only frowned and seeing an opening in the boy's guard, Overhaul took advantage to use one of his multiple arms and grab him by the leg. Overhaul. Now it's my turn. Giving a series of blows muta while hitting the green-haired boy who only covered himself with his arms. Deku. Evil curse while bleeding from the head and his arms began to break. Overhaul. You're a bucking loser. While slamming him against the buildings you're useless. While bringing him closer you're useless, although I have to admit that you took my greatest hero from me, while smiling psychopathically it's time for you to die. Minutes before. With Eri. The little girl was running as fast as she could, while tears came out of her eyes. Eri jumped over the rubble while listening to the sounds of the battle between Deku and Overhaul. In her attempt to jump over a rubble the little girl tripped and fell to the ground. Eri. Sobbing on the floor. Everyone is risking their themselves for a monster like me while getting up. I'm a monster. I ruined your lives while crying more. Are you okay little one? Asked a female voice, making Eri get scared. Calm down, I'm a heroine, my name is Uraraka Ochako or Uravity showing a smile. Eri. Heroine? I asked looking at Uraraka with tears in my eyes. Uraraka. Yes, you'll be fine she said stretching out her hand. We have to. She didn't finish when she saw something big fall from the sky in the distance. Izuku she said, and then she carried Eri and ran towards where Midoriya was. Current time. Overhaul. You're a bucking loser. While slamming him against the buildings you're useless. While bringing him closer you're useless, although I have to admit that you took my greatest hero from me, while smiling psychopathically, it's time for you to die while rising higher into the sky. Deku. My arms are broken he thought in pain, but I won't give up, I have to make an effort. While whips came out of his arms. Overhaul. What the hell? He asked, seeing how the whips covered him. Stop, damn it. While he plummets. Deku. If I fall you too. Falling to the ground causing a large smoke screen. The chestnut arrived with Eri in her arms to the place where she fell. At that moment a tired Sir Nigtai had arrived. Uraraka. Sir while the chestnut ran to where he is. Sir Nigtai. Uravity seeing the brunette. I see you have Eri seeing the girl in her arms. Uraraka. Are you okay? Where are the others? Worried looking at the one with the foresight quirk, I think that's what his name was. Sir Nigtai. I don't know we all separated seeing the girl with blush cheeks. Where is Midoriya? She asked with concern. Uraraka. Izuku is seeing how the smoke cleared showing Chisaki standing no, it can be while looking with concern and shedding some tears. Overhaul. Ha. Your plan didn't work stupid. He said and then looked at Uraraka with Eri. Now you follow, little monster. While he approached them. Uraraka. I won't leave you leaving the white-haired girl on the ground. I will protect her. Overhaul. Don't make me laugh. Looking at the gravity girl with a mocking smile. What can you do? She is capable of doing many things. The brunette showed a big smile upon hearing the voice of the young green-haired man. Chisaki could only frown and then see the green-haired man barely standing. Overhaul. But just look at you watching the kid wobble barely able to stand while smiling. What can you do like that? Deku. I'll finish you as I fell to my knees even if it's the last thing I do. Overhaul. I'll kill you as he approached him. Deku. One last effort raising his arm Delaware smash launching a great air pressure that made Overhaul step back. But how? Seeing his arm weight turning back and sees how Eri had her horn shining while she had her hands on the boy's back. Eri. I'll help you she said looking at the boy with tears. I also want to be a hero. Deku who showed a smile. Very well Eri, get on my back he said, so that the girl got on his back immediately. Okay Eri lend me your power. Overhaul. Coming out of the rubble you can't use that power belongs to me seeing Eri rewinding the freckled man's wounds. Deku. The power is hers. Then gets into a fighting stance one for all. Full cowl. 100%. Deku. It's time to end this. While launching himself against Chisaki. Chapter 17. Now you're safe Eri. Deku. One last effort raising his arm Delaware smash launching a great air pressure that made Overhaul step back. But how? Seeing his arm weight turning back and sees how Eri had her horn shining while she had her hands on the boy's back. Eri. I'll help you she said looking at the boy with tears. I also want to be a hero. Deku who showed a smile. Very well Eri, get on my back he said, so that the girl got on his back immediately. Okay Eri lend me your power. Overhaul. Coming out of the rubble you can't use that power belongs to me seeing Eri rewinding the freckled man's wounds. Deku. The power is hers. Then gets into a fighting stance one for all. Full cowl. 100%. Deku. It's time to end this. While launching himself against Chisaki. In the place only a green ray could be seen heading towards where Chisaki was at maximum speed. The villain could not react in time, which caused him to receive a powerful blow that lifted him into the sky. Overhold. He's too fast, he thought, surprised, looking at the boy who was on the ground with a serious look. I won't let a stupid brat beat me. He angrily looked at the boy. Deku? Are you okay, Eri? He asked, looking at the little white-haired girl. Eri? Why, yes, clinging more to the Emerald Eyes suit. Deku? Then let's go. Pushing against Chisaki. The green-suited hero was preparing his fist, which was wrapped in black whips. Seeing this, Chisaki began to charge at the green-haired man at top speed. In the sky, all you could see were green flashes and a few clashes caused by the strength of both combatants, who refused to yield to each other. Every chance the villain had, he changed his body proportions to become faster and stronger to fight the young hero. Overhold. I won't let a kid beat me, he thought as he clenched his fist. I won't let someone like you beat me. Throwing his punch directly at the green-haired boy. Deku? Uses the black whips to evade the blow. He gets faster every time he changes his body, he thought, and then looked at the little girl on his back. Eri begins to lose control of her power. Look at the girl who was clenching her teeth. I have to end this now. Overhold. Die now. Throws another punch while changing form. I'll get you out of my way. Damn brat. Returning to his monstrous form. Deku? If I can't save a girl, I'm ahead of evading Chisaki's blows. How can I be a hero hitting Chisaki with his fist, causing his body to begin to destroy, able to save everyone? Giving the final blow that would send the villain to the ground. Uraraka. I watched as the villain lay on the ground, semi-conscious Izuku. Night-eye. He did it, looking at the green-haired boy in front of him. He fulfilled his objective, showing a slight smile. Deku? Agitated with Eri on his back low high, he didn't finish when he felt a great pain throughout his body. Damn, I forgot, he thought as he fell to the ground. This is when he loses control, lying on the ground, while a golden aura surrounds both of them, along with some black rays. Aya. He screamed in pain as he felt his body being rewound from within. I think I really don't remember. Eri? Stop, please stop, she thought with fear. Don't do it, don't kill him, stop. Izawa. Froppy, make him look at Deku now. The frog did what the professional hero asked. I'm sorry, Midoriya, but I have to look at you. He opens his eyes, making Eri fall tiredly on the sword of a tired green-haired man. Chisaki. Tries to get up from go back to the girl, crawls on the ground. Uraraka. Stop right there, she takes him by the hug and puts him on the ground. Martial arts gumhead. Placing the handcuffs cancels. Quirk, you're under arrest. Chisaki Kai. Night-eye. It's all over, showing a smile. We won. Time jump is hit. 3 hours later. Tokyo International Hospital. Deku? He opened his eyes, looking at the white ceiling of the hospital, then looked at the door to his teacher Izawa-sensei. Izawa. Everything is over. Chisaki is on her way to Tartaros, along with the anti-quirk bullets. The others are recovering from their injuries. I'm just stopping by to see how the others are doing. Deku? So how is Eri? He asked, getting off the stretcher. Izawa. She has a fever, but she'll be fine. She'll stay here to see if her power doesn't get out of control once again. Deku? Can I see her? He asked, approaching the older man. Although I know he'll say no, but even if it's inevitable to ask, he thought, looking at the hero in front of him. Izawa. No, Midoriya, for the moment it is impossible. He walks to the door. Let's go to UA, your classmates are better now. Deku. Sighs to show a smile. Of course. Professor walks behind him. The green-haired boy's companions met at the exit, where the boy from another timeline was greeted by a strong hug from the brown-haired girl, attracting the attention of his two companions, causing them to quickly separate with a blush on their cheeks. Days passed, and the teachers and principal learned of the freckled boy's secret, along with Mirio and Night-eye. At first, the teachers didn't believe it until Night-eye mentioned that the boy's future was blank. After that, the boy showed his notebook and explained how he got to that timeline. Hospital, too lazy to add the rest. In a room, there was a little white-haired girl eating a slice of red apple while staring at the wall. All of this until the door was knocked and then opened, revealing a blonde man and a green-haired man. Eri? The Mirror Lord. Deku, Lord Lemelon. Mirio. Eri. How are you, little one? He approaches the bed. Eri. Okay, looks at them and eats some apple. Deku. That's very good. He strokes her hair. We're glad you're okay. Everyone is glad. Eri. Looks into his eyes. Boo, but everyone got hurt because of me. Her eyes begin to fill with tears. Po, because of me many lost their power. I'm a monster. She looks at the bed while crying. Mirio. It's not your fault, Eri. He smiles, so the girl looks at him. And you're not a monster. The monster was him. You're just an innocent girl. He caresses her hair. Deku. Yes, now you are no longer in their clutches, and they will not hurt you again. Mirio. We can say with great joy with a big smile, just like the green-haired one. Deku. Mirio. Now you're safe, Eri. At the same time making the little white-haired girl start to cry and hug them both. Eri. Thank you. crying on the shoulders of the people who from that day on would be her heroes. Chapter 18. Ochako's feelings. UA Academy class at dormitories. Uraraka. Ochako's room. The brunette was in her bed staring at a fixed point on the ceiling. She was immersed in her thoughts, which only showed the green-haired boy, causing the machi lover to begin to show a very marked blush on her cheeks. The girl remembered the last few months that the freckled boy had his change of attitude, as she did not trust him so much that she came to follow him and even enter his room to discover his secret. After that the two spent a lot of time together, coming to the point that their smiles would cause a very marked blush on her cheeks, and every time the boy calls her by her name, she feels many butterflies in her stomach, along with a rapid heartbeat. The brunette sat on her bed and shook her head to erase those thoughts. Letting out a sigh, she looked out the window at the clear sky that day offered. Uraraka. What am I thinking? She said to herself and then looked at her legs. Why does that happen to me every time I think about his smile, or every time he says my name? Bringing her hands to her cheeks, I can't fall in love with him, or can I? Well, in his timeline we were a couple, but does that mean that here we will be too? Although it wouldn't be so bad remembering when she saw the boy shirtless, haha, how good he looked. Well, small drops of blood came out of her nose, huh? Yeah. Quickly wiping her nose with her hand. What are you thinking about, Uraraka? Ochako. The brunette continued talking to herself, losing track of time a little, but as everything that begins ends, the girl was interrupted by a knock on her door, causing her to come out of her deep thoughts. Uraraka. Is this who is it? She asked while looking at the clock in her room, which read 5:30 p.m. Deku. It's me, Ochako. Calling from outside the room. I just came so we can both go to lunch. The brunette blushed and her heart beat faster than normal. She stood up and walked to the door while inhaling and exhaling to lower the blush on her face a little. Uraraka. Sighs and then pats her cheeks. Come on, Ochako, calm down. You must act as you always have, taking the knob and opening the door. Hi, Izuku. Let's eat. He's showing a smile. The freckled boy felt warmth in his heart when he saw that smile. He remembered when his beloved brunette showed the same smile, the smile that always cheered him up. The boy showed a small smile accompanied by a light blush adorning his freckled cheeks. Deku. Let's eat, Ochako, smiling. Ochako. Yes. Leaving the room and walking together with the green-haired boy. They both walked down the hallway while the boy talked about how they visited the little white-haired girl and her health status. The brunette looked at him attentively with a smile. Ochako. Looking at the boy, I think that as time passed and I got to know him, she thinks as she looks closely at every gesture he made. I fell in love with you. She smiles and blushes more deeply. So from now on, I'm going to do everything possible to make you happy, just like my other self did with you, Midoriya Izuku. The next day. The students were in the classroom waiting for the teacher to arrive. Once the bell rang, the door opened, revealing the teacher in charge. Izawa. Well, before starting classes, looks at everyone. In a week the cultural festival will begin, where you will choose which activity you will do to present that day's size and takes a seat. Come forward and choose. You have this whole hour to do it and until tomorrow to present which activity you will do in order to reserve the spot. No. Wait, teacher, do we only have until tomorrow? That's not a lot of time. He asked, making everyone look at the teacher. Izawa. I forgot I had to tell you, but it doesn't matter, time is running out. He looks at them tiredly. If you don't choose, you'll have to do a reading workshop. He sighs a little. Any questions? Well then you can start. Everyone started to say their ideas for the festival, except for the brunette, who just looked with a blush on her cheeks. Uraraka. Blushing, she thinks cultural festival. Phew, that was where he declared his love to my other self. 7 increases. Oh, I'll have to take the initiative and do it myself. She smiles from ear to ear. Yes, that's a good idea. It will be something he won't expect. I'm going to declare my love to him with determination. Looking at the green-haired man. Elsewhere. It's ready. Having a camera pointed at it. Well done. He looks at her and then at the camera. I always like to have a good cup of tea, but not just any cup of tea, but a perfect black tea. I don't remember the name. Taking a sip of it, my next meeting will be the greatest of all. Showing a smile, the UA will know the power of Gatlin the criminal and the brave. Brava. Placing the camera in front of her. Don't miss the live broadcast of Gatlin's great event. Smiles at the camera. Gatlin. Haha, the UA will know what a criminal Gatlin is. Have some, they'll know about me very soon. The days passed and the students would present a concert where little Eerie would make an appearance so that she could finally know what a real smile is. Currently there are 30 minutes left until the festival starts, and we can see the green-haired man in front of 2 people who were looking at the green-haired man. Deku. Look seriously, Gatlin and the Brava, we meet again, he thought when he saw the. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown in left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.